Recording this morning, just me and Jeff and Natalie. My flesh was all purple, I was having fun alone downstairs.
Ew.
Natalie said, Ryan, stop it, but you know I didn't even care. Hey, 100-0-0, it's almost here, oops, out of time. So today that means we're only doing episode 99.
Phew. Oh god, I need more time.
I was freaking when I wrote this shit. My brain doesn't think that fast. What are we gonna do?
But we gotta think of something or else 100 will be our last. Stories all around us, we need something like the poop knife. So maybe I'll just lie and make up some fart joke about my wife.
Maybe don't do that one.
Oy vey, 100-0-0 is almost here, fuck, out of time. We're so lucky that this one is only episode 99.
Oh, thank God. We can just phone this one in. Another couple weeks to think of the good stuff.
Episode 99. You're listening to the Gamecasters.
Natalie, Jeff, and Ryan are the Gamecasters, and they do a board game show, inboxes, and nooks and games, and top 5 lists, and sometimes there's fart jokes.
Welcome. Episode 99 is off to a banging start. Jeff just recorded Natalie and I's 99th pre-show bang on his phone, and the black markets are already shutting down because nobody wants to see that. Sorry, Jeff, I warned you. We're here on the eve of the biggest milestone a small-sized Michigan-based amateur board gaming podcast can attain. 100 episodes. There's no bigger milestone. This is the one with which all other episodes will be judged. If you don't absolutely nail episode 100, then organizations like the Podcast Universal Special Syndicate Yearly, or PUSSY, will blackball you from every future download and streaming service this side of Wolverine Lake. The losses could be catastrophic. Some projections see us losing listeners into the tens. We must stick the episode 100 landing against all odds and like some podcasting Carrie Strug and then be paraded around in the alleged abusing arms of Bella Caroli and not go out in disgrace like some Harding or Bobbitt or Weinstein or Paladin of the West Kingdom. Now that I've set the stakes insanely high, welcome to the Gamecasters, the show that disappoints more than when you think you found the best chocolate chip cookie there is and you bite in to discover nothing but raisins laughing at you and solidified oatmeal, or more than when Natalie wakes up from her dream about Ryan Reynolds only to discover she's actually next to Ryan James, or more than when Jeff thinks he's about to indulge in a lovely sugarless butterscotch delight and then have normal bowel movements for the next 16 hours. Yes, we can't promise anything other than the same old utter nonsense that has plagued the show for the last 98 episodes, but what we can promise you is the same old utter nonsense that has plagued the show for the last 98 episodes. And isn't that really the promise we actually always wanted to fulfill in the first place? You've all been waiting episode after episode for some sweet relief from this stupid shit, but it turns out the show you thought was so ugly took off its glasses and now it's even uglier. But you've been single for a while, so you're ready to finally settle, just so you can have a few years of fun before your thing doesn't work. So let's call this what it is. You want to have a good time, and we're easy. So what's up with you guys?
I don't know.
Oh, boy.
Nothing.
Should we stop? They don't have to be the same length.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Say the batteries.
See you at 100. Bye.
We had a couple of game nights last weekend, and I think at both game nights we played Guilds of Merchant Explorers and Next Station London because we can't stop playing those two games.
Was it just one game night?
No.
And we just lied and said it wasn't.
It was two, and we were just like, let's just bring the same games. Yeah.
No, we hang out with Andrew and Cheyenne on Friday night, and then we hung out with Frankie and Kyle on Saturday night.
What was the second game you said?
Next Station London.
Dude, that game is
It's
so
awesome.
We
fun.
played that with the kids, and we played that with
I knew
adults,
I would love it.
And we
it's
can't
so
stop
good.
playing it.
And Guild of Merchant Explorers, I only want to be playing that.
I
right
know.
now. That game is fantastical.
It is. What else is going on? Oh, we're like watching Lord of the Rings, House of the
yeah,
Dragon.
The show, how is that?
It's good. If you were to look up like YouTube reviews, you would think it's the worst thing that's ever happened.
I can't trust
Lord of the
nerds
Rings?
like
Yeah.
that. Nerds
Yeah,
are so just fucking nerds.
you got it.
Like they
You could
just
not have said it better.
they can't get out of their own nerdy way and enjoy something.
Get out of your way, nerds. Get out of your own damn way.
Nerd way, nerd.
They are. No, seriously. The show is good. I like it a lot so far. It's going a little slower than I kind of... I shouldn't say it like that. I hope it picks up more. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that we're halfway through the season now. I think there's only 10 episodes, I think. And I would have hoped for more like gripping moments at the end of it. That's really the only
Yeah.
complaints I have so far. And I
Well-
feel the same way about House of the Dragon. I really like that show too.
I like that one a lot more. I'm way more into that than Lord of the Rings. But I will say I'm not a fan of the Lord of the Rings movies
Aghast.
just because I've tried. I've given them several chances and
What about like the Hobbit stuff? Have you
I
done
just it just loses me and I have trouble staying interested in the story.
You did say you like the show
But I
better.
do like
Like
the
the
show. I like the show.
Okay.
And so I'm interested in that. And so that tells you anything. But House of the Dragon I'm much more into
Because there's a lot more sex.
Rings.
And if there's not sex in it, Natalie won't watch.
Is there some?
No,
Is
I
there
think
some
it's just
wieners?
like-
You know
Seen
what?
one?
I
No.
don't think I've seen any
More-
No, I don't think. Right, there's been no nudity,
There's definitely no
no male.
Wait, time
Wieners.
out. Oh,
I'm trying
male.
to make
has
that
there
happen.
been
yeah.
Or dudity? That's
women?
what it is. Dudity.
Yeah.
Huh?
Has there been women nudity?
Probably. It's the Game of Thrones, and you're
Not that
talking
I
about
I don't think
remember.
there is. Well, here's why. Because in the first like few episodes of this House of the Dragon, like the main characters are kind of
They're
younger.
like teenagers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the books, they're like 9.
I know.
Or something
Yeah.
I know.
ridiculous.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Daenerys was like I don't even know if she was a
Yeah,
teenager.
they had to.
in the books.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, that was weird.
Right.
Oh, yikes.
Ooh.
We're also watching The Patient. Thanks to your recommendation.
Yes. Are
And
you
love
liking
it.
it?
Okay, man.
That
is it
isn't.
good.
That
Okay,
is
good.
like.
Sometimes I would like make these recommendations, and I'm always like, all right, are they gonna like it?
No,
It's like the thing
it-
where you're playing a game. I wonder if Jeff would like this.
Yeah.
Or is Jeff gonna like
Yeah.
this? Like I
No,
watch
I
a
like-
show,
You-
and I'm like, do other people like
You've
this?
been pretty solid on your
Yeah.
TV recommendations
Yeah.
with
we,
us.
we watched the.
I do like my
The
TV
one this
recommendations.
You got some good ones.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of if there's one that the only one that you told us about that we didn't love was that one with Will Arnett where they're kind of improving everything.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I
right.
totally
Yes.
got that. Yeah, I understood
Yeah.
that. Like you not liking that, I was like, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's the only one. I mean, like you recommended my favorite show probably in the last several years, Severance.
Yeah.
yeah, only
was
murders.
a
I
Jeff
thought
recommendation. Only Murders was
Yeah,
a
that's
Jeff
good one.
recommendation. And now this.
TV.
Yeah, and I haven't watched what everyone in the Discord is loving that you recommended, which is the one
Oh, the rehearsal.
The Rehearsal.
Yeah, we haven't watched that yet.
So
People
weird.
are
And
liking
again,
it, though.
That one you might watch and be like, "This is fucking dumb," and I would be like, "Okay, yeah, I don't
Yeah, it is.
disagree with you."
Yeah.
I am watching something new on Netflix. Have you
Okay.
started the Dahmer thing?
I
No, we
want
haven't
to.
yet.
Okay.
But I've been hearing again
Yeah,
in the
I
Discord.
actually
people are
I
loving
actually
it.
saw it and I was like, I want to watch that. And then people in the Discord had started talking about it, and I was like, oh, now I definitely want to.
we're we're 2 episodes in, and a lot of people know the story of Jeffrey Dahmer,
Right, he eats people,
right?
right? He's the
Yeah.
the people eater.
yeah,
He he took,
One-eyed,
he
one-heart.
took boys and 18-year-old and like killed them and then like cut them up and ate them, and it was like he was a piece of shit, right? But what is crazy is it's hard to say that this is like interesting, right? Because it's like a terrible thing.
Yeah, but no, it is
disturbing.
It is.
It's disturbing.
It's more like fascinating.
Evan
like,
Peters is freakishly good
really.
at being a fucking creepy weirdo.
Do they make him look just like him?
He's close.
Yeah.
I think as close as they can get a guy who's not him. Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, right.
And because Evan Peters is in American Horror Story, and he plays some weirdos.
Okay.
So, did you ever watch American Horror Story?
No.
So each season of American Horror Story is a
giant
different
wuss.
like theme, right?
Yeah.
So there's like
I didn't know
there's
that.
the asylum, and then there's the circus, and then there's like a cult. But the actors in each of the season are, for the most part, the same.
Oh, okay.
Except they just play different characters. Like
Oh,
Evan
I didn't know
Peters is
that.
in a bunch of the seasons just as a different person,
Mm-hmm.
and he is weird in a lot of them. So
He's a weird dude.
Yeah, I think I put this in the Discord today. I had a student of mine who was watching it, and he asked me if I was watching it, and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Did you see this actor?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "There is no way you can act that weird and creepy and not be a serial killer in real life." So maybe
that's part of his
an eye
method.
out on this guy.
That's part of his method.
Yeah, he killed people.
He's like,
But
He
it's-
really wants to get into
who
the character.
don't we care about?
yeah, it's dark. It's good. I think what they end up doing is they get into the court case stuff later. I haven't got into that,
Oh,
but I
okay.
think that's where it kind of ends up.
I see.
Him in court also.
Yeah, right.
But man, it's
Wow.
I've heard. I mean, So we're watching a lot of heavy shows. Okay, the Patient is pretty heavy.
We're watching
And Handmaid's Tale is back, and that's
we haven't
also
started that.
very heavy. And those are usually back on the same day. I feel like we have those to watch.
Well, it's Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday, Tuesday. And so maybe after we get through both of those shows, we could start another heavy one, because I don't know that I could take it, because I'm sure that's really
even
it's
kind of
really
like
heavy,
House
right?
of the Dragons,
Yeah.
kind of
It
heavy
is.
in its own way, even though it's
is.
more
At least
like
paying
fantasy.
attention, you have to like pay attention.
Right.
There's not like a
we just
sitting
started.
around show.
Yeah.
We just started. We watched like 2 episodes of A League of Their Own. That
Oh, it's good.
I haven't watched that.
Oh, it's really
I think
good.
on the Discord they were saying it was good too.
I liked it a
but
lot.
So far, it's good. Yeah,
I
it's
liked
really
it. I liked it while we were watching it, and then all of a sudden Nick Offerman came in, and I was like, "All
Yeah,
right,
he's the coach.
Is
And
he
then
the coach?
one of the
Yeah.
main
Yeah, he's the
girls
coach.
is the girl from Good Place. I can't remember her name, but she's like
Kristen Bell."
not Kristen Bell, the one who's like
Good.
not a real person.
Oh, like the
Spoilers,
Janet.
jeez.
Janet, that's
The
her name. I
Janet,
couldn't
yeah.
remember her name.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the Janet.
She's hilarious
actress
in
is in
The
this.
Good Place.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of the main characters in
Okay.
in this. You should watch it. It's good. I really enjoyed it. We
will
only watched
watch
2
it.
episodes, but I will gladly keep going.
To backtrack to The Patient, isn't Steve Carell like so good? in it?
Yes, he's so good.
And so just like different, right? For how many times
Yeah.
we've seen The Office over and over and over again, or you know, Evan Almighty plays these like goofy characters.
He hasn't been
Yeah.
goofy
Like,
once in this.
He's
and
also
he's-
in the morning show, and he like plays like basically like the Matt Lauer type character who like gets canceled because
Yikes.
of like
Okay.
Yeah.
some
Ooh.
allegations,
SA.
and,
Yeah.
and so like he's really good in that too.
Based on not true story. This is not a true story. We're not basing it on anything. Okay, I have to tell you this.
Okay,
So I was on Reddit the other day.
sure.
And it was like a joke, but more of people just like responding to it. And
Okay.
it was what is the female version of rock out with your cock out?
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Okay.
And I thought that we could bring a joke back from the past.
Beautiful.
Someone wrote binge out with your minge out. And I was
about
The callback is
yeah,
minge.
call back
Mingy
for the
little minge.
minge.
Oh, that's hilarious.
There's a bunch of them. There's like
Yeah, let's hear more.
Rave out with your cave out.
Oh, what rhymes with crevasse?
Yeah.
I just got a
Black
cricket.
out
Should
with
I
your
make some
rack out.
t-shirts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll out with your hole out.
Ooh.
Jazz out with your snaz out.
Oh, I
A
like
couple
it.
Your
Z's.
snaz.
There's jam out with your clam out. Yep. Bang out with your tang out. Rap out with your flap out.
Is badge out a saying? Because if
Yeah,
not,
sure.
if it is, I have one.
Puff out with your muff out.
Badge out with your vag out.
Sit out with your slit out.
Oh, okay. I thought clit, but good.
Yep.
That's
Booze
good.
out with your coos out. Veg out with your vag out. Just like
Yeah.
that one. It's like it just keeps going. Lash out with your gash out.
Didn't you have like a thing?
Yeah, we had a
similar thing?
living shock book with a
Yeah.
bunch of different terms
Yeah,
for
it
the
was
shock.
great.
It's like
That
the same
was-
thing as that.
Yes, that's exactly
Right.
what
It's
I
almost
thought about.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I probably could find that email somewhere.
I know. I
that
looked
has
for it the
all of
last
those.
time, and I'm like,
Oh,
dang it, I
really?
can't find it. Yes, Natalie, you raised your hand.
Well, I just want to remind you. You mentioned to me
It's getting a little
earlier
long.
Yeah.
that you wanted
Move
to
on.
tell a story.
Have I ever told the Dome Tupito story?
I don't know what words.
Yeah,
Okay,
me neither.
so that
And you wouldn't
probably
tell
means
me.
no.
That's what I. Yeah.
Okay, so oh man, I'm glad I would have forgot. I'm glad you said that. So I used to work at Chili's a long time ago.
pre Bill Naps or after?
After,
Post Bill Naps?
okay, actually, it is immediately when Bill Naps closed down.
Okay.
But the first job I got after that was at Chili's. I got a cooking job at Chili's. So, so I'm cooking at Chili's and I'm brand new. I don't know anybody, right? And there's this one guy who I really thought was my friend, and he was teaching me the ropes. And now all of the guys on the fryer station, they didn't actually let anybody cook the fryer stations except these 3 guys, and they were all
They call
like
themselves
Mexican.
the Fryers.
Yeah, the Fryers. Yeah, they were all like Mexican guys.
Okay.
and they didn't speak English at all
Okay.
somehow. Well, okay, they did. They could understand
not
you,
much.
but they couldn't really speak it to you. Okay, I don't know how that works, but that's how it worked with them. So. This guy, we'll call him Clay because that's his name. He was like, I'm going to teach you a couple of phrases to say to them when you need help. Because you're going to have to I'm not going to be here and you're going to be running the kitchen
Yeah.
and you're going to have to communicate with them. And I was like, thank you, Clay.
Thank you, friend.
God.
What a great
This
friend.
man, I wrote a letter to the manager and he got promoted. And I was so happy. And he's like, okay, the first one I'm going to teach you is when you're really busy and you need him to come over and help you. Like you need his assistance for whatever. You got to plate some food. You don't have enough hands for the ribs and the steak, and you need somebody. You just yell, "Dame tu pito." You just yell at the top of your lungs and he'll come running to you. And I was like, wow, okay, what is it again? He's like, Dame tu pito.
Okay.
And I must have said this phrase 10,000 times that day to lock it into my brain.
Yeah.
And I honestly might even be pronouncing it wrong. This was back in the day, but it was Dame tu pito or Dome tu pito, something like that.
Okay.
And so the day comes where he's gone, I'm running the kitchen.
Yep.
And I'm like, I feel so fucking sweet. I'm like, no one knows I can speak Spanish. Wait till they hear this.
I'm going to blow them away.
And so I'm like, Dame tu pito. And they look at me like I have fucking cockroaches crawling out of my nose. Like, they're like, what the? And then they look at each other, and then they just erupt in laughter. And I'm like, no, Dame tu pito. Dame tu fucking pito. Like, I'm freaking out. I need help, you know? I'm like freaking out. And they don't help me, and they're just like laughing. And so I ended up doing whatever I needed to do, and I was kind of pissed at them. Like, these fucking guys, like, what the hell's their deal? And that was, so I never said anything about this again. I ended up quitting that job months later, and I moved out to California in 2005.
Yep.
Or 2005, 2006, whatever. And I get out there, and I work at the Dr. Phil show, and one of the managers at the Dr. Phil show is of Mexican descent, and I'm talking to him, and I'm yakking him up, and I'm like, we're outside on break one day, and I'm like, hey, I gotta ask you something. And he's like, yeah, sure, what's up? And I'm like, I used to work at Chili's, and I learned this phrase. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, but they didn't understand me, and they were just laughing. He's like, oh, you probably got the masculine and the feminine wrong or something, and it was goofy. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. He's like, do you remember what it was? And I was like, yeah, Dome tu pito. And he starts laughing his fucking out. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And he goes, it means give me your dick.
I was going to say, I took a lot of Spanish, and there's no word, there's no help in that phrase. I've never heard of any of those words.
I was yelling, give me your dick at the top of my give me your fucking
give me it.
Dick.
Yeah, you. Give me it.
Give it to
Bring
me.
it over here. Give me it.
I'm like, why won't you Dome tu pito?
They're like,
oh my god, yeah, and I felt so
When's the
ashamed.
manager coming back?
So I died laughing at as well, like, you know, happy to be finally out of the state where Clay, good old Clay,
I hope Clay's
teaches
a
me
listener
some fucking
now.
friends
I know.
or some fucking phrases in Spanish.
God damn it,
So
Clay.
if anyone named Clay at Chili's when you're cooking with him tries to teach you a phrase Dome tu pito, it means give me your dick.
Listen to him.
Don't
Or
fucking
just
listen
give
to
him
Clay.
your dick.
Or yeah,
Just give it to him.
maybe what if that was the only phrase I knew?
Yeah.
Aha!
Give me it.
Oh man, so that's the Dome tu pito story.
I like it.
definitely haven't heard that one.
If you don't have anything else, I have something I have to talk about.
No, I don't
hear it.
have any.
Okay, we have to talk about this chess drama.
Oh, God.
You're
I've already heard too much about this.
okay. Please, can we talk about this? Let me
Okay.
start over.
It's your
I will,
show, man.
I will
Please,
say it is
please.
In our
it is
contract-
pretty fucking weird.
In Natalie and my
Please.
contract, we're not allowed to interrupt you when you're talking about chess. We know that.
Yeah.
We've read it. Our
Magnus,
lawyers have
Magnus,
signed
blah,
it.
blah,
Is
We
blah.
this
know.
better or worse than me saying there's some Star Wars Destiny drama?
Oh, this is
You don't know.
Is it worse?
What about Maria
it's better.
drama?
It's better than Star
Star
Wars.
Wars.
I think you might enjoy this.
This is really weird.
Okay, before you absolutely tune out, this is going to sound like something I'm making up for content. But trust me, you're going to want to listen
I saw an
to this in its
article.
entirety because the rabbit butthole goes so deep on this one.
Rabbit butthole.
Yep, that'll come back in a minute.
Yep,
So
rabbit
Magnus Carlsen,
Yep.
he is the current world chess champion and the #1 ranked player in the world.
Yeah, we know.
Okay, he's so dominant. Natalie hates his fucking guts that he's constantly called the best chess player of all time, and that's
kind of
that's
an
true.
arrogant.
He called himself
He is
that.
kind of. He's a no.
It was a
he
self-
does not
Oh,
call him.
He wears
Remember-
a chain like Flavor Flav that says most dominant chess player of all.
Remember when
chess world.
he was the winner of the Magnus
Yes, he
Carlsen
won
championship
his own championship.
or whatever?
Yeah, he paid himself.
Look,
He
I don't
took
have
everyone's
defense for
money
that. I
and then
can't
paid himself with it.
defend that. But he's not. I'll say this. I call him this too. So it's not just him. I also call him the greatest chess player
Okay,
of all
so
time.
you and Magnus call Magnus the greatest chess player
Yes.
in the history of chess playing.
And that's not even around my house, because around my house, he's constantly called the douchiest bag of all time
Yeah.
by my blushing bride who doesn't care at all for decency or culture. So coming into this tournament called the Sinkfield Cup, Magnus was on a 53-game unbeaten streak.
Okay.
Okay. The current record for unbeaten games in a row is
54.
125.
Is that by that robot?
No, it's by Magnus. Also by Magnus.
What was that robot's name? That was
Deep
really-
Blue.
Did he? What is the robot better than him?
Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov, I think, who was like the current world champion. That was before
like the
Magnus'
Russian
time. Yeah, exactly. Okay, anyway, so
Robots.
125 games unbeaten was the streak. He's currently on a 53-game unbeaten streak, okay? The guy's almost as good at not losing chess as I am at not having sex with Selena Gomez.
Okay.
Well, I'm a little better. I'm a little better.
You've gone longer without having sex.
Yeah, my streak is
long.
More so in the
Zero.
fours.
Yep. Yeah.
So, God damn it. So he entered this tournament in the Singfield Cup and gets matched up against the lowest rated player in the tournament, a 19-year-old American chess player named Hans Niemann. Magnus has the white pieces and Hans has the black pieces, which if you know chess, on the highest level, having the white pieces, which is who get to move first, is like the slight advantage. Okay? Hans proceeds to absolutely crush Magnus into a powder.
Yes.
He crushes him. Like, it wasn't close. He fucking destroyed him. 53 games under streak, gone. All right. So Magnus.
Let's just end it there. Hans.
Magnus. And you might have that mentality.
I got stuck watching some of his drama videos.
Hold.
So Hans.
Let me do it.
Okay. So Hans Zimmer. What happened with Hans Zimmer?
So Magnus. I just want to recap this real quick. Magnus, who has not lost in 53 games. Before that, he had not lost in 125. With the white pieces against the lowest rated player in the tournament, gets absolutely crushed. Yeah. Okay. So what happens after this game? The next day, Magnus withdraws from the tournament completely. That was like game one of the tournament, okay? He withdraws completely. Yes. Yes, wham wham.
Yeah.
Told me Womo, Whittle Finger.
I lost to...
You sound like this one, and I love it.
It does sound like this one.
Okay, he's never done this in his entire career. He's never withdrawn a tournament ever, okay? He's not just a whiny little bitch who does this when he loses. I'm just saying he's never done this before, ever, okay? I mean that actually might be what ended up happening here. It might.
Okay,
he might have quit by being a whiny little bitch, but it was unprecedented for both him and chess players in general. It's not typically something done, okay? Everyone wondered why he withdrew from the tournament because he didn't say anything about it. So all the speculation was flying around regarding why. He then tweeted a quote from some soccer manager after he withdrew that said,
Ted Lasso.
I prefer that said barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
People have not believed me my whole life.
Tea is garbage water.
Yeah. He said, I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. That's the quote that he just ominous quote he tweets after withdrawing, okay? Which of course only inflames the situation. Another huge chess player, Hikaru Nakamura, then had a Twitch stream where he basically said he thinks Magnus quit because he suspects Hans of cheating. And then goes on to outline how Hans has cheated before and has been banned from chess.com, the popular online chess website, over the years for cheating.
You got.
Hans then came out and had an interview where he was basically like, fuck all you haters. I beat that bitch fair and square. I'll play nude if you need me to. So there was all this speculation and debate over what happened. Magnus still hadn't said anything, and the drama didn't have time to cool before. A couple weeks later, after that tournament's over, there's the next tournament, and where Magnus is involved, and guess who else is involved? That's right, Hans. And guess what? They're paired up together.
Shocking.
So now, it's crazy, right? So what's going to happen? Well, Magnus resigns the game after one move. He plays one move and resigns. And he's like, I'm fucking out. And then he goes on to absolutely destroy the rest of the field and win the tournament by a country fucking mile. Magnus.
Well, how can you resign from a match and then still win the tournament?
Yeah.
So you get points whenever you win, lose, or draw. Okay.
So him quitting was a draw?
Him quitting was a loss. He loses a point. Hans gains a point. He then beats everyone else, basically, over the next like 10, 12 games. Hans didn't. Hans got like somewhere in the middle.
Did Hans win that first tournament?
No, he didn't. Well, because he was the lowest rated player in the tournament. He wasn't expected to do well. Okay. He won a couple games like in that tournament, and then when people started accusing him of cheating, he started not winning. And then we'll get to that in just a quick step. But it's not okay. Anyway.
Natalie, wake up. We're doing a show.
Anyway. Magnus
Get
basically
to the good part.
shut the fuck. Magnus basically Thanos snaps the competition away, playing like he had an axe ride. So all the questions have been asked about how can you cheat playing chess. Online, it's easy. You have another chessboard up with the same moves that you're making on the one where you're playing someone, and that other chessboard's basically telling you the best moves in each position, okay? And you simply copy what it says into the game you're playing. Over the board, which is what happened with Magnus and Hans, is much more difficult to pull off. They have long since banned electronic devices like phones and stuff at these tournaments, as people would like run to the bathroom, whip out their cell phone, look up the best move, and then come back and play it. That's how people would cheat over the board. That shit doesn't happen in these huge tournaments anymore because they have better security.
Wait, they would eat orders and then have to go to the bathroom 30 times.
Well, so there's no rule against going to the bathroom. You can just get up and go to the bathroom if the fuck you need to. But so they don't allow phones anymore. Anyway, so all right. So one popular theory about how could Hans be cheating? No,
how could Hans?
One popular theory is that somehow Magnus's prep was leaked to Hans, okay? Like a football playbook being stolen and given to the other team, right? That sort of thing. But the theory that I hope is true is that Hans had a more undetectable device on him, or rather, in him. Yes, the theory goes like this.
Yeah, I go, yeah, okay.
Hans had some sort of Bluetooth anal bead shoved up his ass, and an electronic pulse is sent to it to somehow relay to him, I don't know, by Morse code, what pieces to move. Now, this theory is absolute fucking ridiculous, but is also what prompted Hans to say that he would play naked. Okay? I feel like he'd have to make all his moves like Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Well. On to B5.
So they can see in his hole every time.
Yep. Look at my hole. Look at my butt fingers.
Another weird thing that sort of flies in the face of Hans's character is his accent. This is fucking weird, too. I don't know if I told you this, Natalie. So he was born and raised in California.
Video.
It's not fucking stupid. God damn it.
I watched a video
born and
of
raised
him.
in California. American boy with a Californian accent. I've known about Hans for years before this whole event, and I've seen him many times on YouTube and Twitch and things like that. And he has an extremely American accent. All of a sudden, like in the last month, his accent has changed almost to like Russian or some Eastern European accent when he talks. And people are like, what the fuck's up with that? And he's just like, I don't know. I've spent a lot of time around European chess players, so I shrug.
That's the video I watched of him explaining why he had this accent, and it made zero sense.
Everyone is just kind of like...
he was basically like, well,
okay,
I spent 2 years in Europe, and I didn't even like leave my room, and I was basically by myself the whole time. And it's like, oh,
how would
okay.
you get an
Well, people
accent that
move
way?
here from England for like 10 years, and they still have an accent, and they are around
Yeah,
Americans.
Jim Gamer listens to us talking. Do you think he has an American accent? I doubt
Right,
it.
like,
So
it makes
Magnus
no sense.
finally releases a statement after the withdrawal and subsequent resignation where he basically says, Hans fucking cheated, yo. There's no way he played that well against me because he straight sucks, and only a handful of people can play like that against me, and he's cheated before, and so how can I or any other player ever trust that he won't do it again? And fuck this guy, and if he lets me say more without suing me, I'll release all my theories on why I think he's a dirty, dirty scumbag. So the ball is now in Hans's court. We'll see what happens in the coming days, but this is more drama than the chess world has ever seen. Hubert H. Chess is out there absolutely castling in his grave at the thought of this game, of his game, which is he invented to play with his great-grandchildren, is now linked to anal beads.
Pulsating anal beads.
Pulsating anal beads. There's no Hubert H.
That's
Chess.
great.
That's just, I don't...
The last week or so, Ryan has been so eager for me to go upstairs to bed early so he can watch his drama videos because
So
there's
you say things like, oh, aren't you tired?
Yeah,
Right.
at like 8:30.
Do you want to go to bed?
She's like, Ryan, we just had dinner.
Go to bed.
because there's this chess drama
Slippers
and then
and
there's
melatonin.
there's this other drama related to some streamers that he watches, and so like he has all these backed up YouTube videos
Oh,
about
man.
all the drama. It's basically his soaps that he wants to watch by himself.
It totally is.
That's funny.
I mean,
So
she's
that's
not
how
wrong.
that one time
Natalie, go to bed so I can watch my story.
I need to watch my stories,
I got
Natalie.
stuck watching that one of this
I got
weird guy.
stuck. You loved
I think
it.
it's
did
funny.
not love it.
You were
imagine
double-clicking
Ryan-
your mouse the whole time.
Natalie, you got it. You got to look at this.
I wake her up. Hey, hey,
And Natalie's
get up.
like, all right. Well, I guess I married you.
Magnus took with his bishop, Natalie. He wouldn't do that.
He's been
An anal
trying
bead.
to.
to pawn 4. I don't even know.
He's like, oh, Natalie, there's so much chess drama. I'm like, ugh.
So speaking of things that go in your butt for pleasure, have you been playing the game, Jeff?
Yeah, I've been playing a game called Wormholes.
Good segue.
Yeah.
Plan that.
Let's talk about wormholes.
Wait, is this more an extension of the drama?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
There are spaceships and anal beads
Inside of Hans
in
Nieman's-
Hans's wormholes. Hello. Watch out, I'm playing chess here. Man.
Let's shake hands.
What does Nakamura think? He doesn't like him?
He thinks he's cheating. Well, he knows that because Hans came out in that interview that I was talking about, and he was like, "I cheated before. I cheated. I was young.
He said he was
you know,
like 12
I was like
or
12 years
something.
old. I cheated. They banned me.
So are they going to televise the nude chess match?
I hope so
Because
I've never wanted
because what's
anything
his
so
face?
bad. Magnus.
Magnus and Hans Gruber both need to be nude.
Yep.
Like they're both nude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe Natalie will finally watch a
Natalie,
chess
will
game
you watch
if
it?
the men
No.
are nude.
What if he's just packing?
His name is Magnus.
Magnus?
It's one letter away from Magnum.
Magnum Carlsen
means-
and Hans Gruber sitting down playing chess. You
How
just
are you not
throbbing.
gonna double
How are
click
you
your
not
mouse?
turned on?
I think Ryan will be turned on.
I will be at the thought of Jeff's explanation of wormholes.
Here's wormholes. I got wormholes at Gen Con.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Oh,
You gotta go to the
man,
pharmacy.
sorry.
You gotta go to the pharmacy.
Better
it's
than COVID.
taking a while. This is published by AEG, who publishes a shitload of everything. Designed by Peter McPherson.
That's a great way to explain age.
He's published fucking everything. Everything.
Shitload of everything.
Guild of
Everyone owns an
Merchant
AEG
Explorers.
game, okay?
Yeah.
You own one, I promise. Okay, and the one you probably own is designed by the same person that designed Wormholes.
Oh.
Peter McPherson.
Yeah.
Who designed Tiny Towns.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So this game, as we talked about last
It's
episode,
already in the hole.
Already in the hole.
The -10.
Starts at a minus.
Yep.
Is what I wrote down.
Nice.
Starts at a
Callback.
minus.
That's callback.
Yep. If you don't, you have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, I don't think Natalie remembers.
We'll wait.
I can tell she doesn't.
This is
But
also.
what do I don't remember?
See, told you. I told you. I told
Starts
you.
at a minus?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that?
Probably.
I probably remember it. I probably do.
Do you love me?
Well, mind your own damn business.
Probably. I probably do.
Yeah. Shut up and mind your own business. I'll remember it if I want to. If I don't remember it, I don't remember it. Okay? You can't tell me what to remember. I remember that Will and Grace, your favorite show.
No,
Shut up.
you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You shut up.
Well, you
I don't remember what cards are in my
Pomegranate
head. Yes, you
favorite
do.
snack.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes, you can see them just fine. God.
I know
can't
you
tell what
better
I'm
than
holding.
you know
Yes,
you.
yes, you
can.
God. Ryan. Wormholes. Okay. Wormholes. Started in the minus because Peter McPherson made it, and we all hated Tiny Towns, but
Yeah.
everybody else loves Tiny Towns.
Yeah.
So
Game.
it
I remember
could be a
that.
plus for a lot of people. So AEG hired him for another contract to make another game called Wormholes. This is a route building pick up and deliver game.
Oh, God.
More minuses. More
Now it's
minuses.
at minus 10.
So this
Sounds
is starting
so terrible.
in the hole.
Wow. In the wormhole.
In the wormhole.
I like that.
Deep in the wormhole.
Which means there's probably another wormhole coming out, and every time you try to hate it, it's like, haha, now I'm in the positive.
Yeah, you're
You
both,
go
like-
in the negative, and it comes out the
Yeah.
positive.
I can't wait to hear if it gets in the positive.
Well, let's find out. So the main board is made up of smaller boards with hexes all over it. It's like modular, so there's like, 6 different boards, and you smush them together in different ways. And it
basically
makes a whole
modular-
bunch of little hexes.
like a modular
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of
sofa.
hexes,
Yeah.
and it just looks like space. Okay, it's Natalie's favorite theme. There's planets, nebulas, space shit all over the board.
People hate
okay?
space.
Asteroids,
They do?
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I don't mind space.
Okay.
I think space is cool.
I enjoy space.
I like
yeah, I
space
agree.
games.
But there are some people that hate space games, like we hate train games.
Yeah, well,
They're out
Really?
there. Fuck them.
Just FYI, space is way cooler than trains.
My
agree.
space is way cooler.
No, space.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. So
My space is not cool.
main board hexes all over the place. Okay, you start with a little tiny, cool wooden spaceship thing, and you start on the space station or something. And
Something like that. I don't know.
players begin with a few passenger cards. So the passenger cards just literally have the planet on it, which is where the passengers need to go.
Of course.
And then you all start with wormhole tokens, numbered 1 through 5. You have 2 of each. So 2 1s, 2 2s. Do I need to keep going?
yeah.
2 3s, 2
Okay.
4s,
Wait,
and 2
what's-
5s.
Oh, all right.
2 of each of those. So
Okay.
the
So
10,
glad you went through all of
I
them.
understand.
10 total. Okay. 2 1s.
Well, hold on.
So what the goal is to travel around this board, picking up passenger cards and dropping them off at the planets that are all around the space shit. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Okay. Stay with
Still
me.
in the hole.
We're still in the hole, but we're still in the wormhole.
Yeah.
Okay. Players have 3 tokens, which are basically your action points, which allow you to move 1 space. That's what you do with your action tokens. You say, I'm going to flip this over, I'm going to move 1 space. I'm flip another one, move 1 space.
Okay.
Flip another one, move 1 space. And then there's a bunch of free actions that you can do. The free actions are dropping off passengers, picking up new passengers, and then the cool one, which is dropping wormholes.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
So you can drop a wormhole on your space or on an
dirty.
adjacent space. Okay.
Yep.
And there are 2, like I said, 2 of each number: 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s.
Oh, I think
2
he did
4s,
say that.
And 2 5s.
Oh,
you
I
remember that?
remember.
yeah.
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 Probably.
Yeah.
And once you drop 2 of the same number spaces, or 2 of the same number wormholes, those 2 spaces are considered adjacent and
Okay.
cost nothing
Yeah.
to warp through the wormhole.
Like a wormhole in real life.
So you would spend 1 to move onto a wormhole, and then you could shoot all the way across the board through your 2 wormholes.
That's fucking
to
sweet.
another wormhole.
You can get those
Okay?
at Brookstone.
You can also use other players' wormholes, gross, and that gives the other person money. But you can basically just fly around the board going wormhole to wormhole to wormhole.
If you could set that up, that sounds fun.
Yes.
I'll say that.
That is, I'll get there, but that's like the coolest part is
Sure.
once the game builds up to kind of like the plateau, crescendo, the peak of the game.
Sure.
Yeah.
The summit.
is you feel like you have 3 movement actions and you can probably move like
Climax, dude.
Climax.
Right.
Damn it.
Fuck.
cut this
Go
out.
back.
When the game reaches a climax,
Good.
you can
Nice.
fly around the board very efficiently, and that's
Okay.
very cool to be able to drop off multiple passengers throughout the game. And
Does this
that's
happen?
very
Do you think
cool.
this will happen every play, or is it like,
Yeah.
I finally got okay?
Oh
cool.
yeah, you'll be able. It picks up quick in terms of like where you can kind of fly around to.
Okay.
And the goal is to essentially just drop off these cards, these passengers at these different planets. Okay. As you drop off wormholes adjacent to those planets, the game progresses, and you get points for passengers being dropped off, and that's how the game ends. Once a certain amount of your wormholes are adjacent, or everybody's wormholes, gross, are adjacent to those planets.
Yep.
It like ticks down the game.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. For a game, so I'll get to my thoughts right now. For mechanisms that I don't enjoy, for a game with mechanisms that I'm just like not drawn to, started in the hole. I see the appeal of this game if you like pick up and deliver, route building. This type of game was kind of fun.
Oh.
So it got out of the hole.
Yeah, it's like creeping
For
over
sure.
the top.
It got out of the
toilet
hole.
bowl.
I like the art. I like the components. All the tokens are wooden, which is kind of cool. So
That is
even the
cool.
wormholes are all they could have easily been punch outs.
Yeah.
But they're cool, nice, like
Was that a
heavier
deluxified
wooden.
copy,
No, that was
or that's just the regular
Yeah.
retail edition?
And for probably a $35 game, I think those are good. They're good component
Yeah.
quality stuff. The cards are a little thin if I had to like nitpick, but
Sure.
they're not being like used a ton
Yeah.
or like played with.
You're not going to like slide it across the table and have it rip in half.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like I kind of said earlier, the fun happens about halfway through the game when there's a good number of wormholes out on there, and you can just like fly across the board and pick up and drop off cards. Like, you feel really, really efficient, and that feels cool.
That sounds cool.
You want to be clever in finding like the best routes around the board, because you might not want. You want to drop them near these planets, but maybe you don't have a passenger to drop off at that planet. Maybe these two planets are really close to each other, and you don't want to drop your two wormholes at the same like near
Because
each other.
everybody can use everybody else.
Because everybody can use it, but you're giving other people points. So
Yeah.
it's also like, shit, I want to use mine, but Ryan's gets me right to where I need to, and then I
Yeah.
can use Ryan's to get there, and then
jump on
Natalie's
mine, hop
hole,
aboard.
gross, to get over there, and then I can use my own hole, gross, to get back over there and drop off all those.
She waxed
and only
just
use
fine.
one movement to basically just bounce around the board, which
not
I think
gross
is
anymore.
really that was like a fun puzzle, I think.
Okay. I think
The game cruises by in an hour. Which I
that's
liked.
good news. Okay, I was going to ask that next. That's good
Yeah,
news.
so I just played 2-player, which I think if I'll get to some downsides in a second, but one of the downsides, I don't think it thrives at 2, but it
You need
works.
more interaction, you mean?
I think it would be because it would ramp up faster with the wormholes.
Yeah, because you'd have more of them just everywhere.
Yeah, because they would be all over the place.
Right.
And you can't, so as you're dropping them, you have to drop them in order. So you have to drop one first, and then the second one, and then the first
Right.
two, and then the second
Right.
two. You want me to keep going? And then the first three,
Yeah.
and then the second
the
three.
first three.
And then you just keep going in that order.
Okay.
What order?
So if the first one, and then the second one.
Okay. I wish
But
you
if
would have
there's
explained
5
that.
of us playing the game, those things are getting out fast, which I think would be really cool. So the peak for me, the climax would happen earlier.
Nice.
You
Okay.
know, the climax
Yeah.
would happen earlier
Right.
in a game like that.
Good word.
And I don't think it would last that much longer because there's only a few more tokens that you add to kind of end the game.
An hour seems like a good length of
Yeah.
time,
It's
right?
perfect for that, and it's not because it's not too like thinky. The crunchiness is just trying to plan out routes, but it's not like overly. But like, oh, we need this game to be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Question. So you
Yes.
mentioned about halfway through it ramps up and gets fucking awesome. What is the first half like fun-wise? Before
It's-
it ramps up and gets awesome.
Yeah, it's a little slow because when you're moving, there's a couple turns in the beginning where you're basically just going to be like, I'm moving 3, boop, 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 my turn's over. Or you're moving 3 and dropping a wormhole, or you're dropping, because really you don't want to move 3 and drop 2 wormholes because they're right next to each other.
Sure.
So Dave and I both at the beginning of the game had maybe 2 or 3 turns each that we both were just moving 3 to like set up for the next turn. So it wasn't like terrible.
Yeah.
I think the fun of the zipping around the board outweighed just the quick turns.
Okay.
Because also, one of the things that I didn't enjoy is I almost maybe wanted to fly around the board a few more times because it was that fun.
So it ended too quickly?
It ended like, for me, I feel like it ended a little too quickly.
Oh,
and maybe
okay.
that was just our play where we maybe shouldn't have dropped so many. But we both scored like a decent amount of points. We kind of dropped off a bunch of passengers. If it goes longer, does it feel boring? Maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe it does end at the right spot. But I think I was having fun flying around the board.
Pacing
Yeah,
seems like
you
the
got
most
to the
difficult
fun part.
thing to design for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How do you develop pacing? That's got it's so tricky. And with my game it is too. But yeah, anyway, continue.
Yeah, so at the end, you have... So the beginning, having a few turns that are fast is okay, because toward the end, you have a little bit of AP of going, all right, I have 3 passengers that I need to drop off. Those are the 3 planets. Can I do it in 3 moves? By using all these wormholes, can I do that? And that caused a little bit of just like that turn slowed down at the end, which isn't bad. I don't mind that because it wasn't like that the entire game. Right at the beginning, you're just kind of flipping things. So good length. There is some girth. There is there is an advanced side to all the the main the main board with different planets that do different things. There's a spot that lets you, like, if you go there, you can shoot all the way across the board. There's some different things, like a certain planet lets you draw an extra card or move differently. That kind of stuff adds a little bit of advanced rules. There is, in terms of a couple downsides, other than what I've already said, there is a little bit of luck in card drawing as you're drawing passengers. I might inherently draw some passengers that
Perfectly work out.
that I'm right kind of near. There is something that does help that, where if I'm at a planet and I pick up a passenger card that is already at that planet, I can't take that. I have to discard it. So at least there's not like, oh, I'm there, points.
Right.
So there is a discard, but the planet that I do draw could be near that one, and I could get to next round or not. There is a market of cards that sort of tries to mitigate that a little bit, so you can draw from the face-up market instead of the deck, so that helps a little bit in that. I'm interested to see how it holds up with, like, more and more plays. Is the warping around the board going to be fun on play 10?
Sure.
I don't know. But I do want to try it with more people, because I think more people, again, that climax could hit earlier.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got everyone's
you
mouth
gotta
in there.
hit that climax.
That's naturally
Quick as
going to happen
possible.
earlier. Yeah, exactly. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, that was Wormholes by AEG. I'm liking it. It started in the hole, but it got out of the hole for me.
It's out of the whole
In my
into the
world,
wormhole.
it's in the good, not great, and
Sure.
I'll update when we maybe play with more people.
Very cool.
But yeah.
You actually kind of have me interested. I'm not going to lie, because it doesn't. Yeah,
Wormhole
Yeah, I
stuff
know.
sounds
designer
fun.
not good. Pick up and deliver is. Oof,
I know.
No bueno.
The path jumping is cool.
That
Yeah,
sounds
that
really
sounds
fun.
That's probably the coolest thing.
And if it's
Again,
not super long,
Yeah.
maybe it's worth trying.
Right.
So awesome. One of the coolest things at Gen Con that I talk about year after year is wandering the vendor hall and finding that game that wasn't on your radar. The game you didn't even know was a thing. And then you find it and you're so excited about it, and then you get it home and you're all giddy, and then you're all giggly and everything. And you can't stop like writhing around. Your body's pulsating with electrification of what could be. The shrink wrap falls to the floor, as do your pants. The game stands there acting coy and bashful as both of you are seeing each other for the first time, embarrassed and elated at what's about to happen. Tenderly and shyly, you lift off its top and start to feel around inside, learning all about what pleasures await you. It's one of the coolest things I talk about all the time, and it happened a couple times this year. One such time was a roll and write game that Donkey Kong found called Dungeons, Dice, and Danger. In Dungeons, Dice, and Danger, or DDD for short, players are rolling dice, combining them to form two pairs of numbers, akin to the classic game Can't Stop, if you need to visualize this, and then either using the numbers they've chosen to move throughout the map or to fight monsters, or both. The map you're using is a series of rooms with numbers in them. There are also rooms with monsters in them. Once the first player the English rules say, once the first player eliminates the last monster from their board first, the end game is triggered, and then players total up their points, and whoever has the most points wins. However, talking with Jeff mentioned that the English version of the rulebook, there's about 6 different languages in there, is the only version of the rules that actually has the end game triggered in that way. A mistranslation possibly happened, according to BGG.
Yeah,
it
there's
sounds
something weird.
It sounds like the end game condition is supposed to be just when all the monsters
are dead.
Are dead.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you're all in this forest at the same time, and when they're all dead, there's nothing.
It's over. There's nothing else to kill.
Right? So that would be the theme behind it, right?
Sure.
But yeah, there was something weird happen.
Interesting. Basically, on your turn, the active player rolls 5 dice. There are 4 white dice and a black die, and all the other players have to make 2 combinations from only the 4 white dice. The active player does the same thing, however, they get access to that black die and may swap that out for one of the white dice to make their combinations. Once players have selected their combinations, they go over to their map and start crossing shit out. If you chose a 3 and a 5, let's say, you are either crossing out a room with one of those numbers in it that is either a starting space or one that connects to another you've crossed out previously. You can potentially use those numbers to fight monsters that show that those numbers wound it. It's that simple. If ever you can't make a play with the combinations of dice because either none of the numbers you can make are adjacent to a previously marked room or a starting space, or none of the numbers are the right ones for monsters you're fighting, then you have to start taking damage. And the more damage you take, loses you points at the end of the game. And if you lose too much, it can ultimately knock you out of the game completely. There are some powers you can get along the way, treasure to collect, but other than that, bada bing, bada boom, game over once all the monsters, I should say, are defeated on the map. So things I liked. The artwork in this game is really nice. I really like it. Yeah, things I didn't like. The game just isn't that good.
The artwork?
Okay. All right. So this game is I'm trying to think of a game that it kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of, like, in a way, like On Tour or like Rolling USA in a way, where you, in those games, the numbers are already, is Rolling USA, I think the numbers are already on the map, right? And then you're crossing them off as you make a connection. You played Rolling USA?
I've played not the USA one. I think I've played
Rolling
USA
Europe or whatever.
Japan or something.
Yeah. It's kind of like, and On Tour is kind of like that too, except you are writing the numbers in On Tour, right?
And, you are writing them in On Tour. I think in Rolling USA, you're writing.
Are you writing them as well?
The adjacent ones have to be within one.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So this kind of reminds me of something similar to that, because you're rolling dice and then you have to. In this one, the numbers are already pre-printed on the board, and you have to just match them to move. Okay. So as you start crossing numbers off, you are also reducing the numbers that you can use in the future. It kind of reminds me of those games, and it's an interesting concept. I like that premise, and I also just inherently like fighting monsters. That's just a fun type of thing, especially in this kind of like a light setting. I really like there's these 3 powers that you get that you can kind of uncover as the game goes on, and they're all really good. There's one that gives you more health, or it's basically a shield. When you take damage, instead you take it on this health. There's one that allows you to it's like a torch, but you can just go to any room you want to if the dice don't work out. You can do that twice. And then there's one that lets you get additional black dice when you're not the active player, which is also really powerful. So those are all really kind of cool things. The rulebook, I'm going to go back into things I didn't like. The rulebook is just terrible. It was translated very poorly and took far too long to understand concepts like how combat worked. It was much too confusing for a game that's about as light as Second Chance. The decisions for most of the game are kind of weak, in my opinion. It's basically, what can you do with the dice rolled? And if you can't do anything, too bad, you take damage. There's a lot of room for analysis paralysis as players work out what combinations they can make. And oh shit, if I take the 7, then I have to take a 4, and I can't do anything with a 4, but the 7 could be pretty good, but fuck, I don't want to take damage, so let me see what I can do with the 2 and a 9. And that process just seems to always take a long amount of time. At least it did in our game. And we just played it with 2 players. I feel like if we had 4 of us, it would drone on and on. However, that's caveated a little bit by the rules that I just learned, where the game doesn't end necessarily once one player, because one player defeating all the enemies first took a while. But if it's just, you're almost kind of like working as a group, and whoever, once they all die, it's over, that's going to take a lot less time. So I think that would probably alleviate that concern for me. Like I said, it felt a bit of like On Tour Rolling USA feely for me, and you can just kind of get stuck after a while. If the dice don't cooperate, or you're having a bad time. And it's that kind of frustrated that I don't like in games. On Tour and Rolling USA have that too, where you just like write yourself into a corner, and then you're just like, shit, I'm fucked. After it was over, I asked Natalie, did you like it? And her response was, I mean, it wasn't the best game ever, but it's a game you can play while you have nothing to do, like on a train. Which I found hilarious, because that specific situation has happened maybe once in our entire lives.
Hey.
I was like, we need to stop giving examples of way to play games that are just kind of subpar. I feel like we do that all the time. It's not bad. I think it would work if I was sitting on a bench waiting for my coworker to get out of the bathroom. This game was not bad in the fact that it worked. It worked as a game. Was it a fun game? For me, not really. I didn't love this game. I didn't hate it, though. I wasn't angry playing this. I wasn't wishing it was over immediately. I was just kind of like, okay, the fun level doesn't go that high. It felt like there wasn't really much. We got to the cap of the fun at the beginning. I was like, oh, okay, I get what this game is now. On the low end, it's on the low end of good, not great for me. There are much better games to play in this space if you're on a train with nothing to do that I'd pick over and over.
Yeah, weren't you like, wouldn't you rather just play Next Station London every time? And I was like,
yes.
Yeah.
What if you're on like a what if you're on like a bus though?
Yeah. Then you have to play Next Station London, because it's all about, or no, is that one about buses? Yeah. What
about a subway?
What if you're on a plane?
What if you're on a plane? Is this
so it's kind of a bummer for me. I had a high expectation. Well, not expectations. I had high hopes for it. And it kind of didn't reach them for me. What do you think, Natalie?
I didn't dislike it as much as you did. I mean, luckily I didn't have to learn the rules. That sounded like it was rough. Yeah, I mean, you just had me read one little part and try to like help you interpret it. But like, yeah, that sounds rough. But I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a fun roll and write. I like the rolling dice and picking the path, and that whole situation. Same thing. I kind of liked killing the monsters and like earning the special powers and all that stuff. trying to like utilize that as much as you can. I didn't do very well playing it, but like I thought, like you kind of said, the premise is fun in general.
Yeah, right.
But
running through and killing monsters. Yeah, I agree.
I guess so. When you were saying like, what I said was like, yeah, I think it's a fun game. You can play on a train or whatever I said.
When you have nothing to do. When you have nothing to do. I have nothing to do on this train.
Well,
what the
on
fuck
this
am I going to do on this train?
The reason I said
nothing to do.
I
that.
have
My phone is
nothing
dead.
to do.
No
like-
one's here talking to me.
Right, it's just me.
I've
What
left
the
every other game at home.
Everything else.
Hallelujah.
In that case,
I brought
I would love
Dungeons,
to play
Dragons,
this
and
game.
Dice and Dungeons.
I got nothing to do. I'm on a train.
Well,
I
I
might as well
guess-
play this.
My point is kind of this, like, for us, we've played like a ton of roll and write games. No, this is not
Yeah, one of
anywhere
them.
near
My
the
point is, if
top.
you're on a train, this is the game for you.
And you have
But
nothing to
I
do.
liked it enough where like I would play it again. And if you are somebody who doesn't have a lot of roll and write or a lot of experience with roll and writes, I don't think. I mean, yeah, there are better ones, but I think that you might still enjoy this game. Is what I mean.
Sure.
You know,
I get it.
It's not. If I'm comparing it to all the other games, yeah, there's a lot of games that we like better, and then we probably won't keep it around because of that. But just to the audience.
So would you recommend it then? Are you saying you'd recommend that people go out and buy this game over anything that you like
If
better?
it sounds interesting to you, I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Natalie recommends. Gamecasters recommended.
yeah, and then there's like a couple different
Gamecaster.
maps, so it's not all the same.
There's 4 different
Yeah.
maps. We played
That's kinda
on
cool.
the wussy level map.
Yeah.
Wussy.
There's like it's like
Baby's first
it's like baby
wuss.
first map, and then it's easy, and then it's like normal, and then it's like difficult or something.
Yeah. So to me, I'm like, yeah, I liked it. That's kind of like my review.
Okay. What do you think, Jeff? You've played this.
So I played it. We played. We missed a rule here and there, which made the game real fucking difficult. We missed something that would have helped us a lot. But as we were playing through the game, I felt stuck often because maybe because we missed a big rule. So I want to hold my opinion back. But also maybe because I was like taking the wrong path or just stuck somewhere.
Just not
I
getting
wasn't
lucky with the
thinking
dice,
about
too.
yeah, I just wasn't getting lucky with
Yeah.
it. We all ended up dying. But you guys weren't close to dying, and I think we all
Yeah, I didn't
died
take any damage
because
until the
of
Yeah, maybe a couple
our rule
rules
that
you
we missed. But I do think, to Natalie's point, and I agree with this, Donkey Kong owns this game. He doesn't have a roll and write that's beyond. He has Fleet the Dice game,
Okay.
that's much heavier than this.
Yeah, much heavier.
And he has like a Quicks type of game, right?
Yeah, it's kind of.
He doesn't have the middling level 45-minute, half an hour, 45-minute kind of dice rolling
Yeah.
game or roll and write. And I think this is great for his collection because
Yeah.
we'll play it.
Well, he likes the theme probably, right? I'm going to guess.
Yeah,
That's
theme,
like.
yeah, your fighting thing, that's cool.
And it looks good too.
Yeah, I like that you're earning. You're earning. What are they like? They're not hearts, but what are they? What's like the shields or something? You're earning these points. You're earning these shields that get you then points. I think is kind of cool.
Yep.
So you can sort of see where everybody's
Treasures,
at.
right? I think you're getting treasures, aren't you?
Is it like
They're
those
gems. They're
Yeah,
gems.
gems.
Yeah,
but I like that you can kind of look around and see where everybody's at as they're playing. You can
Yeah.
look, okay, I'm getting my butt kicked here. Ryan's already attacking that monster. Let me maybe go to the other one so I can get the bonus of killing that monster first. And the treasure is cool, like you said. I'm interested. I want to try it with the correct rules before we do anything.
That's probably a good idea.
We did, yeah. We actually, our friend Bill, his wife, our also friend Christy, she laminated a bunch of these sheets.
Oh.
Basically, so now Dave has a copy, Joe has a copy, and Bill has a copy. Because she just laminated
funny.
the sheets
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
can play it with the dry erase, which I
Yeah.
also think is
That's true because
one
all
of-
you need is some dice on top
yeah,
of that,
you just
right?
need 4, you need 5
Yeah,
dice. That's
5
Yeah.
dice.
So one downside that while I was playing was exactly what you were saying. If these numbers are rolled and you're like, okay, I have 7 and 6, so I need this 6. Let me cross this off. And then you sit and you look, shit. Well, I can't take
can't
the
use
7,
the other
so now
one.
I need to erase
Yeah.
the 6 and rethink
Yeah.
about my plan.
Yep.
And I did that a few times.
Oh yeah, so did we.
where I was like,
we did that.
"Damn it,
We did that a
that's
lot,
annoying."
and it was frustrating because then you have to start over. Now you're like,
Yeah,
okay, now I
now
got to
I'm
start over and
rethinking
think,
a
and it's like
plan.
there was a lot of turns where either of us were sitting here like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's taking
Well,
forever.
there was also
do something.
there was
Yeah.
probably like I don't know a 10 roll streak where we didn't roll a single 5, and we're like, I need an 11 where no one's rolling a 5 every single time. And,
We had a
you know,
crazy streak where
stuff like
we
that.
rolled like triples or quads.
Oh, so you have, like,
6
no
times in a row. So it was
combinations.
like, all right, do I want 8 or
Yeah.
8 or 8?
right.
Oh, but I have the black die. I can have 8, 8, or 9. Like, like, okay, great. So we might have had some bad luck, but I want to play it again because I do like the theme. It was fun to kind of pretend like you're fighting these, and they're very creative in terms of naming the animals that you fight. that rabbit on the thing is very clearly from Monty Python,
Yeah,
Holy
totally.
Grail, right? Like that's kind of funny to sort of to get into that. But I'm going to hold off on having a true opinion until we play the game where we just didn't get absolutely
With the
destroyed.
rules.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah,
Very cool.
that's
Okay.
Dungeons Dong Ding
Da-
Dong.
da- da- da.
The Doy dot
The
Triple D.
Dungeon Doll.
Yeah.
Exactly. What else you got, Jeff?
I have a game about trees.
Ooh, I'm excited about this one.
Oh, I know what it's called.
What's it called?
Evergreen.
It's called Evergreen.
Dell.
Evergreen Dell.
Perfect.
Everdell Green.
Everdell Green.
Farmer in the Dell.
Hi ho.
This was a hot game at Gen Con this year as well.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean that if you went on the Board Game Geek, that that website, there's
That website
there's
over
that
there.
the list of Gen Con
Hot
games.
games.
Evergreen was up there.
Hot,
It was the
hot,
top
hot.
10 hot, thumbs up type
Feeling
of game.
hot, hot,
it was
hot.
on fire. This is published by Horrible Guild,
Oh,
Okay.
HG.
not a very good name.
Designed by the same guy who designed photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh, he
tell you
likes
that
trees.
you can tell.
Really?
This would be
Really?
like Elizabeth Hargrave made Wingspan, right? If she made a game called like
Robins.
Feathers and Beaks,
Yeah.
or like,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
that. It's in the same. You're like, well, this is photosynthesis.
I can see.
I'm almost happy that he designed photosynthesis because if he
be
didn't,
like,
I'd be like,
someone ripped off
Someone
photosynthesis.
copied-
stole, like
Yeah.
you better go to court.
You need to
like,
be
this
mad.
is people's court. Like you're going. So in Evergreen, players are building ecosystems by planting seeds and growing trees.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Very similar.
Biggest difference in this game is that everyone has their own individual ecosystem player
Very
board
cool.
that is, of course, dual layered.
No,
Oh.
are you kidding me?
Dual layered.
I
Do
heard,
you
I
think
heard something
they
about
heard-
that before.
Yeah, you well, okay. I mean, this is the first time I've ever said this, I think, but
Yeah.
if you can play with a dual layered player board,
You should.
I think so.
You should. Like, if you have the
Which we do.
and the steady
As
hand
humans.
to make a dual layer player
Fucking
board,
glue them shits together.
you need to make these and
Make 'em.
play with them and touch them and
Get them on your
have them
finger pads.
exist.
It looks really cool in pictures.
It is. This is where you're placing teeny tiny trees.
And real life.
Is on.
Well, I haven't seen it in real life.
Oh, I thought you meant just general
No,
dual
the
layered.
I mean, the
board.
pictures I've seen
The
of it
Evergreen
looks
board
okay.
is cool. Yeah, the Evergreen board is
Okay.
cool. So it's the board is a square, but the map that you're kind of putting your trees on is a big circle. You know, the Earth ecosystems, right? And each inset is kind of where you're placing the trees or the little twigs, the saplings or whatever they're called. And because in photosynthesis, there's one board where everybody's placing their same trees, all their different colored trees on the main board. This is different. The board itself that you have, your individual player board, is broken up into 6 different like colored zones.
Okay.
All right. In each round, players in turn order select a card from a face-up row. Okay. That
Okay.
card dictates what zone you can plant or grow your plants in.
Oh, okay.
So if I take a blue card, I go to the blue zone. Are you
So the
looking at
sun
pictures,
is
Natalie?
not revolving around the board.
The sun is revolving.
Of course it is.
Yes. So everybody starts in the same spot, but there is an indentation at the top, left, right, and bottom of the board that a little tiny like sun token goes in.
Cool.
And then every round, so you play 4 rounds, every round that thing moves.
To
And
give
we'll
you
change,
light.
Yep, and we'll change the way that it scores. So if I'm drafting this card, sort of, I take a blue card, I can do an action in the blue zone, which is like plant a seed, grow it to be a small tree, grow it to be a big tree kind of thing. The cards also have a special action icon on them. So it has a color of where you can plant and then has special action. The special action allows you to do more planting sort of anywhere on the board. Adding these water token things, you can gain points, you can add bushes, this kind of stuff. So players can do their main action and their special action in whatever order you want. So you're kind of drafting something to do 2 things, which is cool. There are 4 rounds. At the end of each round, players score points for, this is photosynthesis,
Okay. Of
okay, for big and small trees,
course.
okay, that get light.
Light hits them the same way.
Light hits them the same way, so big trees are going to cast a shadow. If the trees are in the shadow, they don't get points.
Do you know his name? The designer?
Yeah, his name is Hajalamar Haq.
Oh, it is Hjalmar Hach. Do you Hjalmar?
Is it
Hjalmar?
What's the Gloria thing?
Hjalmar Hach.
Halmer Haq.
Yeah, Hjalmar Hach. Do
Yeah.
you think, before you go on,
Okay.
do you think he's in like the room? It's just him on the game? Is he the only designer?
I don't know.
Do you think it's?
I think so.
Do you think he's like in the room with like the game publisher coming there, like, hey, Hjalmar, we fucking loved your game photosynthesis. I can't wait to hear what is next from you.
What's
and
next?
Hjalmar's like, get this. What if we take trees? Hold on.
Okay. Trees. Okay.
What if we take trees?
We like trees.
What if we take trees?
We like the last one.
Now I know you're going to think this is photosynthesis, but it's not.
Yeah.
What if instead the boards are dual layered? What if that? Okay, first of all right. Then you're planting seeds and you're growing things, and the sun still goes around the board like that, and the trees are all saying, "No." But now, instead, this game you're playing on your own board instead of the main board. Okay, everything else is exactly the same as photosynthesis, but it's just a new idea.
We'll call it Evergreen.
This is a brand
type of tree.
New idea. Shalmer.
Yeah, you did it. You nailed it.
That's what it's like. Wow. Okay, continue. Sorry.
So, yeah, that's it. No, you're getting the shadowy thing is a cool puzzle, right? So the small trees cast one shadow and blocks one behind it, all that kind of stuff. You also get points for your biggest continuous forest. That's like a new.
That's a fucking new game,
right?
Brand new.
Again, very very.
God, he's great. He's
at the end of that round, then the sun rotates to the next spot, right? Casts a shadow the other way, that kind of stuff. At the end of the game, all the cards that weren't drafted during the drafting phase have these little icons on them, and they're sort of like collected. So if the three of us are playing, there would be 4 cards drafted out.
Take one.
You take one, Natalie takes one, I take one. The leftover one kind of goes into a pile, okay? And you sort of splay them out, because if there was like 2 red ones left over, you kind of put the red ones in a pile. And that dictates how big trees are going to score at the end of the game.
Thank God for the big trees.
Yeah, thank God for the big trees. Thank God for the little trees. Yeah. So, for example, if I had 3 trees that were big trees in the red zone, and there were 2 cards in there with 2 icons each, there's 4 total icons. I had 2 big trees in there. I would get 8 points for the big trees.
Okay, that checks out.
So I want to plant big trees in the cards, in the spaces that the cards have multiple points on.
Sure.
Okay. This game reminds me of photosynthesis.
What?
Oh my!
How do you even come close to that? How do you get that at all?
Alike.
You can sit there and you can say,
if
it's
you
got
squint.
a lot of things. Okay.
It's photosynthesis.
You have to compare these 2 games.
Is it called Evergreen, a photosynthesis board game? Yeah.
Photosynthesis.
Colon.
Revenge of the photosynthesis.
This is just photosynthesis LOLZ.
By yourself. Yeah. And you have to see the similarities in this game. I know that it's different. I know you're playing on your own board. But
no,
if
not.
this game was made by someone else, it would be
Lawsuit.
in court. Okay? But here's the thing. I'm going to play Evergreen way more than I ever play photosynthesis.
Sure.
Ever. Like, I don't know if I'll ever play photosynthesis again. I will pick Evergreen.
Yeah.
Based on what you're saying, me too.
Yeah, because it's just like, it's newer, it's fresh. I like the cards. I like what's going on there versus some of the stuff in photosynthesis that I'm kind of over and don't
Well, and
want to play
photosynthesis
anymore.
can get butthurty.
Yes. And here's where some of the stuff comes into the things I liked about Evergreen, because I did like this game more than I thought I was going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
So the artwork is cool. It's like this simple, like green shades on this like flat white, and it looks very cool on the table. The dual layer player boards look great, like you said. The trees are kind of like shaped cool. The small trees like this kind of like stick with a ball, right? Are you looking at them? Look at them. Look at the trees.
I got this new idea.
Yeah.
It's like photosynthesis, except let me guess. There's no trees. No, there's trees.
No, there's trees.
There's trees. But guess what? You don't have to put them together yourself.
Yeah.
How about they're just wooden
And they'll
this time?
fit in the box. Yeah.
Brand new game.
You did it.
Boom.
Yeah. So all the pieces are very cool.
They look so
They
cool.
look great on there.
They look so cool.
I liked the card drafting as your action selection, sort of.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
It makes you think about a few things. What you want in that moment, what you want to build toward, and it also makes you want to think about what card you want to leave behind, which I think is a very cool thing, because if I'm looking at this board and I have two cards to pick from, the one that I leave is going to create some sort of scoring for everyone.
Right.
So shit, I'm looking at the board. I have more trees in the purple zone than Ryan does. I can leave this purple card here, and that purple zone's going to score a little more. Or maybe that's the card that I need, and I can throw this other one here, but then Natalie's got a lot of, I like that.
Yeah.
You had to think about what card to leave there also, and that's something I
like games that do
don't
that.
see that. It's a different
Seasons kind of does that. Rar and Right does that. Where
Okay.
like you do something with the leftover.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool. So I liked, that was my favorite part of that card drafting thing. The puzzle of placing and growing your trees was just as fun and challenging as in photosynthesis, but you kind of do it by yourself.
Okay.
Figuring out like what trees to put next to what so it doesn't block it from the sun, growing the ones that you need to grow is a fun puzzle. Like I liked doing that throughout the whole thing. Getting the big trees in the bigger zones, all that stuff, I liked that challenge. Okay. There were these cool rivers like these little river tokens that you'd get.
Oh.
And that was one of the special actions, and you could place a river in your thing, and it would make two adjacent things around it grow.
Oh, damn, that sounds cool.
And all of the special actions, which I also really liked, these special actions all had a little tracker on your board. The more you use the special action, the stronger it got, which is cool.
Wow.
So at the beginning, you might be only placing one of the little rivers, but the third time you take that action, you get to place two.
I like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of neat. You can like specialize in something and kind of bump that up. So that was cool. There's little downtime in this game because everyone's placing plants and trees and growing shit all at the same time. Okay? But then that is inherently a negative for some people, which it leads to just lower player interaction. I'm not watching you create your ecosystem. I'm not watching Natalie create hers. I'm just doing my own thing and then scoring my own points. Because even your point tracker is on your own.
Yeah.
On your own board.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I like that too, but just acknowledging that it is outside of the card drafting, and once you're like taking your actions, you're head down
like
playing.
interacting, yeah.
It takes like an hour, and it's like done. It was
That's
we were done in like
sweet.
an hour and 10 minutes.
Wow,
hour and
with
15
4?
minutes. Yeah, it went very, very smoothly because I think you just like you look. The only time people were taking was kind of what card do I want to take. Then you take it and you wait. So once I take, Ryan takes, Natalie takes, then we all kind of do our actions.
Okay,
and that I liked. So the things that I know people will complain about that doesn't bother me, but will bother some people, lower player interaction, and there is no competition on the main board like there is in photosynthesis. If you like photosynthesis for the area majority, essentially, like I'm here, my big tree is going to sit in the middle until the last fucking round, and then I'm going to dig it up.
Right, that's
You're
gone.
never going to get there. Or I'm going to build this tree in front of your tree,
Fuck you.
so you don't get sun for the next 2 rounds, and fuck you, right? So if you like that game, you don't get that
You
in
lose
this game,
that here.
except
You should get photosynthesis.
just get photosynthesis. You're doing that to yourself, right? You're trying to beat yourself. Gross. You're like trying. You're doing that puzzle on your own. Of like, all right, I need to make this one bigger so this gets light. Not, I'm going to put this here so I get light and you don't. But those things were not negatives for me. But I know
Yeah,
they
it doesn't
could
sound
be
like
negatives
negatives.
for some people.
Yeah.
And I think it's better than photosynthesis. Maybe because it's newer and just feels fresher and just has
that's a fresher.
I
I'm going on break.
But Evergreen is good.
I like
I'm
it.
happy Dave has it.
Well, I want to play.
I want to play it again.
Yeah, I want to play it too. Dave Mick has been telling me he thinks I'll
And
like
he
it.
and he likes it too.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, he does like it.
They got like a signed copy.
Yeah, they got a
That
signed
was
copy.
really
That
cool.
they weren't even like it wasn't. They didn't think there was any left.
got everything.
Oh, guess what? We got.
That's right.
Here's a brand new
Oh,
board
here's
game.
this
Here's
one.
free tickets to Gen
Yeah,
Con.
you
And
can have
you
it
know what? We
all.
found $50,000. Do you want it?
Do you want it?
It's
in a bag. It
It's
says your
money.
name on it.
We have to go back to Europe, and this doesn't work here.
Yeah.
So here you can have.
He was
it.
like, "Oh, we probably weren't going to go next year, but since we got free tickets for all of us, I think we will."
Fucking
You
hell!
pass it to me. Your name's on it.
Lucky son of a bitch.
Yep. So Evergreen by Horrible Guild and
Hjalmar Not anything like photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Back in the ancient times of 2018, when you could still fuck strangers in the street without people getting all weird about masking up, there came a game from esteemed coffee roaster himself, Sashi, that was really only available in the far-off island nation of Japan called Let's Make a Bus Route. You heard of
He
this
made
game?
coffee roasters too. Is that what you're saying?
He made coffee roasters too. Uh-huh.
That's not coffee roasters too.
Not coffee. Well, he might have made coffee roasters
might have
too,
made
or
the
he
sequel.
might. Shit, did we just spoil it
no.
for him? Crap.
All right, we'll cut that out.
We'll right back. This flip and write game got some critical acclaim and was extremely difficult to find for us here Yanks until the prophecy that was foretold would come true. So I cryogenically froze myself until such a time when the game would get an American release, which according to said prophecy was about 4 years, give or take. I found the prophecy in a breakfast waffle, and so for 4 long years I slumbered, somehow restarting the podcast and marrying Natalie in the process. It was a weird wedding. Jeff basically made up a voice for me for the I do parts. Anyway, when I finally woke and peed, I went over to my friend Andrew and Cheyenne's place and we played the new version of Let's Make a Bus Route called Get On Board. In Get On Board, spelled B-O-R-E-D, players are working together to pretend like they're all having a fun time when really they wish they were back in their cryogenic chamber having a year-long dream about Selena Gomez touching my Martin Short in a dream entitled Only Boners in the Building or The Bitches on Ryan James's Face. More seriously, in Get On Board, well, she had a show called The Wizards of Waverly Place. Anyway, more seriously, in Get On Board, players are playing as a bus driving all around the city.
Wait,
Driving
you're
all
playing as a bus. You're not the driver.
No, you're
not. You're not the overseer. You're not the
You're a
bus company.
vehicle.
A bus.
You are a transformer.
Your goal is to get to the gas
bus.
station and get fucked by the pump. That's your goal. Driving all around the fucking city, picking up douchebags, grannies, two-tanned businessmen, and slutty students. But watch out, there's traffic.
Right.
The game lasts 12 rounds, and in each round a card is flipped up that tells everyone what shape they're going to make on their main board. On the main board, I should say. Each player has a player sheet they're going to be writing on, as well as some wooden route pieces they're going to be placing on the main board. When the card is flipped up, the active player takes wooden pieces that they have equal to what the card says and places them on the board. You must play your current pieces at the end of your previously played pieces or route, and you can never double back on yourself or else you're just out of the game. So the board is made up of a grid with roads. In between each road segment is an icon that is some way to interact with your player sheet. When you lay your road pieces on the board, whichever icons your road pieces touch will have you do something on your sheet. For instance, if one of your road pieces touches a granny, you cross off a granny on your sheet. And the more grannies you cross off, the more points you get. It's
there
true.
actual grannies?
This is true.
What's
The
he
game
saying?
is basically this. Each turn, you're putting road pieces onto the board to interact with these icons in such a way that you score the most points. There are also public and private goals to achieve to earn more points. Where the game gets interesting is when players get in each other's way. The board is going to get clogged up as everyone's moving on the same board, and you are all allowed to share a road with any other player. You just have to pay for it by crossing off these boxes. They're traffic boxes on your player sheet. And too many of those, and you'll start to lose lots and lots and lots of points. At the end of the 12th turn, you total up all the areas on your player sheet, and whoever has the most points wins. Things I liked. This game was hard. It was throbbingly fucking middle school boner hard.
Wow.
It wasn't difficult to learn or to teach or to understand how to play, but doing well was an extraordinary challenge. It was a welcome surprise, actually, as I kind of expected a lighter experience. I mean, the game originally came out in 2018, basically right after World War II, so I figured it appeared dated and overly simplistic. Sure. The experience I got instead was more of like sweat dripping down my fucking forehead, right? As my girlfriend's dad just walked in on us with our pants down, and she told him to join in kind of feeling. Ew. Basically, I was into it,
okay,
but was really scared the whole time.
Where are you from?
I'm not saying this happened to me. I'm not saying
What is wrong with you?
It was really hard to get almost anything accomplished, and then people start to get in your way and cause you to lose points because of traffic, and you actually felt the frustration of being in traffic. It was really irritating to have a path carved out in my head that I wanted to use, only for Natalie to take her fucking turn right before me and go on the exact same path, making me lose points one turn later when before I would have lost nothing. I was impressed with that, actually. It was much more challenging than I was expecting, and I think that's the main takeaway from this game for me, that it was really tough. So things I didn't like. Andrew pressed down hard on the pencil and it broke.
Damn it.
I played it off like I didn't care till it cooled in front of Cheyenne, but it kind of bothered me.
That pencil came with the game.
Yeah, and that's you only have
so
one
he
of
needs to
5.
buy you a new game.
There's
like,
only
what
one
the
fuck
choice.
was he doing? Also, Natalie kept getting in my way on the road, and I had to blow my nose like 10 times throughout the evening, and that was really annoying.
Even on the way home, he was like, "Why did you go in that spot? You were in my way." And I was like, "I had to. That was part of my
On the
route."
way home,
She
I didn't just leave it at the door.
me on the way. Overall, I thought this game was really fun. I was actually really impressed with it, and I enjoyed myself. But then we played Next Station London immediately afterward, and we all agreed that we would just rather play that. And while I'm not one to say things like this game fires that game, I think I would always rather play Next Station London instead of this game. Because get on board, if you're playing with 4 players, it's the London map. All right, so they're not the same game. All right, but they are both roll and rights taking place in London where you're drawing routes. Okay, sure. So there are some similarities to be drawn. They don't feel like the same game. However, it was just funny that we all agreed that we were like, okay, get on board was pretty good. And we all played Next Station London. We were like, God, that was great. That was so great. And so I think I would always rather play that, which leads me to my ultimate review of the game, which is slightly better than Good Not Great. If the last game was slightly worse than Good Not Great, this is slightly better than Good Not Great.
I think we're going in like a upward progression.
I will. Spoilers. What the fuck? I enjoyed myself and would definitely play this one again. But I'm not sure I need to own it anymore, so I'm releasing it from its duties. And if it decides to stay with me because of my magnanimous and progressive attitude, then great. What did you think, Natalie?
Okay, sorry, I was finishing my
That's anything else?
I probably remembered it.
I agree. It was fun, but difficult. That's what I kept saying. I was like, this is hard. but in a fun, like challenging way. I was, you're trying to. What I was trying to do was like we had these like hidden objective cards where it was like on the map it had different letters, and so like for me it was like, let's say like, okay, if you hit B, J, and K, you'll get 10 points. Like if you hit all those spots.
Right.
So I kind of took that as my like, okay, that's where I'll decide what route kind of to go, like how I'll sweep across the board. So I was trying to do that route, but doing that at the same time as like avoiding traffic and also trying to collect like the people points enough so that they'll give you points.
Yep.
Was so hard.
It was.
Like I found, I was doing well with like my hidden objective route and stuff like that, but I was not doing well with like the people. Like I kept getting them backwards. Like there was certain spots you go to, like basically like you collect the people, and then depending on how many people you have, when you get to a certain spot, you score for them. Well, I kept like scoring for them. And
before
then
you had a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
too.
There was this one where like I kept scoring for them. I'm like, I don't have any of the guys though. And I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't have time. There's only so many turns in the game.
Right.
So I can't like go out of my way just to do like, I'm trying to make the decision to like, do I go for that or do I go for my end goal? It was, so because of that, it was very hard. I do think we played with 4 people, so like all of our routes at the end of the game were on the board, and so when you're like looking down at it, it's like this big like traffic map, and like our little like pieces that like show our routes were like all over the board, and I was like, it really does look like an aerial view of just like a bunch of traffic,
and didn't it kind of feel like it? You're playing, and you're like, God damn it, get out of my fucking way.
Right. Yeah, it was very cool, and it was kind of fun too, because like Ryan said, there was like the granny and then like the student, and then so there was this one like touristy guy that we just kept calling a douchebag because he looked like a douchebag, and like so that was kind of fun. Just like, oh, I got one douchebag and a granny, that stuff made it fun. But I agree with everything you said about it being like it was like, oh, that was a fun game. Like I'd totally play that again, and then you play Next Station London, and you're like, yeah, that was way better.
It was way better.
Kind of thing.
I just only want to play
But I liked it. I did really like this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, well, that is Get On Board. If you are looking for a game that simulates a traffic environment, this one's for you.
Is this perfect for when you're on a bus when you play this?
If you have something to do.
If you're in London on
you have to
a
have
bus.
something to do this time.
So you have to be in London
with something already to do.
Oh, so you have to be doing something.
You have to be in the middle of something, and then you have to...
I have some emails.
Someone's like at there talking to you, and you have to be like, hey, what? Just 1 second?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just say I'm traveling across Europe.
Okay.
Okay, I have to take a bus to the train station.
Sure.
So I play Get On Board on the bus.
Only if you have something to do.
While I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And then while I'm on the train and I'm
with nothing to do, because you did everything on the bus.
Did everything. Now I can play
da-da-da. Yep, exactly.
Dungeons,
exactly.
Doodity.
Yeah. Doodity. Yeah, exactly. Doodity. Right. You figured it out. All right, what else you got, Jeff?
I have another game from Lucky
Ducky.
Okay. Lucky Duck has a extremely popular game, Natalie.
How have we not called them Fucky Fuck by now?
What?
I'm just asking. I'm just asking. How have we not called them that?
Remember how the OP is going to stop sending me games for calling them the original pussy? Now I'm fucking done with Lucky Duck.
I didn't remember that, but I'm happy that you
I'm
said
losing.
that now. Wait, did they?
Great.
The original.
Remember how I was a part of the
Original
podcast because I would get games every once in a while? Now I'm off the show because Jeff doesn't get any games and can't play them anymore. Oh, we got Fucky Fuck games and the original pussy, and there's no more games anymore.
The original pussy. Wasn't that Natalie's idea? I think that was Natalie.
No, Natalie whispered in the microphone like, original pussy. I don't even know if anybody can hear what I just did in the microphone. Hopefully the Levelator brings that up. But Natalie, she like whispered original and then mouthed it. Pussy.
And then you guys called it out.
Oh man,
Yeah,
what are we
so it was
supposed to do?
fault.
Yeah,
Remember, it ended with OC.
Yeah,
right. It ends with Uzi.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
right.
Go ahead.
Lucky Duck games. Lucky Duck
Always
has
Jeff's games.
some popular games. Natalie, can you
Okay.
name a Lucky Duck game?
Come on, Natalie.
Yeah.
You okay? What is
Do it.
Totally. It's
hear it.
not one. Lucky Duck.
She's got it. I think
It's got
she
a
actually
duck
does
in it.
have
It's
it.
orange.
Yep.
It's a game you enjoy.
You're lucky if you're playing it.
I've played it. You've played it.
Here's a clue.
Dave played it.
When me and Jeff were at
Sagrada.
No.
That's Floodgate.
Me?
Let me give you the clue before you fucking speak.
listen to the clue.
Me and Jeff We talk about this all the time. This memory we had at Gen Con where we went to their booth and there was this piece of technology that we were able to use.
You and Dave played it for the first time.
I was trying. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I didn't play it with you.
It's more clues.
Criminals.
Chronicles
she's
of
right.
Crime.
Criminals was for
Criminals of crime.
Chronicles of Crime.
Twister.
Chronicles of Criminals. This is just where we learn about criminals. The Chronicles of Criminals.
I almost said Criminal
Lucky
Minds.
Duck makes Chronicles of Crime. That I don't know if that's their biggest money maker. I don't know.
Gotta be.
Shaking
But they also
money
have a
making.
huge game called It's a Wonderful World.
Oh, that's Lucky Duck?
It is. Now they have another one called It's a Wonderful Kingdom. Okay. This is a standalone.
You know what's funny is my
follow-up.
copy of It's Wonderful World is not Lucky Duck. I wonder if they didn't initially. Maybe they got the
might not
license
have.
later.
Yeah, I don't know, but mine 100% is.
Sure. Yeah.
So yours is probably that French company.
Yeah, it is.
Bouge-a-de-jeu.
Yes, it
yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't know how they've teamed up or
Bonjour.
anything like that, but now they have teamed up.
Okay.
And and I think that Bouge-a-de-jeu is on, and Lucky Duck are on It's a Wonderful Kingdom. I'd have to look at the
I
box.
see. So
but they're
probably
there.
they distribute in the European
Yeah.
countries. I don't know how this was the Kickstarter version. That I
Okay,
had,
so you might, maybe you got that, and they do the U.S. or
Sure.
however. That
I don't
world
understand
is
it either.
crazy
Makes no
to me.
fucking sense.
So this is a follow up, but it's also a standalone. It's a standalone. You don't shuffle it in with your other cards. Okay, keep these boxes separate. This is a solo or 2-player version.
Ooh, there's a solo variant.
Yeah. So this is a solo or 2-player version
I don't know why I
of It's a Wonderful World.
I don't play
Okay?
solo games. I don't know why I'm
Oh,
excited
okay.
about
I was like, what are we talking about? It's a Wonderful Kingdom.
Oh my lord!
I was like, I missed the name.
She had a big
of the
Slurpee.
game.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was
called-
just saying like Lucky Duck also makes these games. Like I didn't realize.
And
he
they
was-
make this
Wait,
game.
when
but
he said it's a wonderful world,
Kingdom.
that didn't trigger the memory. You knew he was talking about this game.
Where are we? What are you? I thought we were talking about bus routes.
daydreaming.
Your dad was daydreaming. It's late. I worked all day.
Yeah.
So, Natalie,
that's funny.
there was a game called It's a Wonderful World. It still exists. This game is called It's a Wonderful Kingdom.
Yes.
It's a Wonderful World plays more people. This
Yep.
plays 1 or 2.
Oh wow.
The one is you, okay? A lot of this game is similar to It's a Wonderful World in terms of like cards and the engine building and that kind of stuff. So if you like that, you'll instantly picture how I'm describing Wonderful Kingdom because it's very, very similar.
Okay.
Okay.
So It's a Wonderful World has a card drafting mechanism, if you remember that. You get cards,
Yeah.
you take one, you pass it along. Wonderful Kingdom brings in an I cut, you choose mechanism, Ryan,
What? I love that mechanism.
of getting cards.
Oh,
So there is a board in the middle that looks very similar to It's a Wonderful
that
World.
long thing with the points at the end.
Yeah,
the
long thing
little
with the points, but
bowls?
it's shorter.
Oh, okay. Shorter thing with the
It's
points.
like a
It's a
2-player
chode.
shorter one. Yeah, it's like a chode version of that with the
Yeah.
points on the end and the gems in the middle, the cubes in the middle.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Each player, I did not play it solo. I'm talking about the 2-player mode.
Sure.
Each player starts with a hand of 8 cards, 7 of those construction cards that you've seen in It's a Wonderful World, and 1 calamity card, which is negative points. Okay, so one
it's
negative
going to be in
point.
the group.
Now, the start player takes 2 cards from their hand and adds it to either side of the board or both. So you have the top and the bottom.
Okay.
So you can put 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, or 1 and 1. The board is also seated at the beginning of each round. Like 1 card is added to each side, and then you add.
You're taking
2
two
your
cards
cards
of your hand, from your hand of 8.
and adding it to one of like the 2 piles. Essentially.
Okay. Yes. Got it.
Then as soon as you do that, the other person takes one of those sides of the board, all the cards, and then they then do the same thing. So they would take, and then they would place 2 cards from there, and then you would take, and then you basically go back and forth till all your cards are gone.
Okay.
Each player also has these very cool things that are called trap tokens that allows you to play a card, 2 cards actually, face down, and then you put a trap token on it.
Okay.
So
So they don't know what they're taking.
they don't know what that is. So what's cool about
gonna
that
be
is
the-
you either
bad one.
probably use it for the bad one, or, which I did a lot, use it for a card that you want in your hand. And
Yeah.
you want the other person to think it's the bad card.
Right, and then you take it.
Yeah. Or you do something like you just play. Devin did this a lot. On the last turn, she saved both of her trap tokens and played them both face down, like on opposite sides or on the same side.
So you couldn't
try
see
to
shit.
entice me, and because you could also, if one of the sides is empty, because you could put both sides on the bottom. If one of the sides is empty, you can just choose to be like, I'm taking the empty side, and then place your cards out.
Oh, so you actually take
So
nothing.
You could take nothing, which isn't the
To
best.
avoid.
Sometimes it's better to maybe take a negative point here and there. You're going to get these calamity cards because the other player is going to get them to you somehow because they're probably not going to take them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so once player have played all their cards, then you have some sort of number of cards. And It's a Wonderful World, you always have 7 or 8 cards because you're drafting and everyone has the same cards. This, depending on what side of the board you take or what pile of cards, you might have a different number. You might have 5 in a round, you might have 9. And just like Wonderful World, you then decide which cards you want to try to build using the cubes and which cards you recycle for the cube, the resource that's on there. Natalie, is this familiar to you?
Yeah,
You remember it?
I remember one.
Okay.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Good. Once all that's done, once you decide it, then you start gathering those resources based on what engine you've already produced. Your player card says that you get like 3 grays and a yellow or 3 grays and a blue, whatever, and you start collecting those. And again, same kind of thing like Wonderful World from left to right. You start with the gray ones, and then you go to the purple ones, and then the yellow ones, and then the blue ones. But as you gather those resources, if that completes a card, you can then add it right to your engine, and you could get more cubes later throughout that round.
Yeah.
There are 3 modules that come with It's a Wonderful Kingdom. You have to play with one of them every single game. The one that we played with is an advisor module, which adds these kind of special power cards to the deck. So now, in your hand of 8 cards, you have that Calamity card, you have construction cards, and you can draw an advisor card. So a lot of times, I would play my trap card on an advisor card that I was like, I want this power. So I would like maybe hide that, and Devin like took it like every fucking time she.
Of course, she just knew. Yep.
Yeah, and so they give you if you remember from It's a Wonderful World, there's these supremacy tokens that you would get.
Sure.
Right? They eliminated like the man and woman one, and there's just like one.
Okay.
So you get those supremacy tokens. Those are what you spend to activate your advisor powers in this advisor module. There are 2 other ones. This one is like the middle one in terms of player interaction and complexity. There is one that has limited player interaction, and you're kind of going on these quests and spending things to go on these quests.
That sounds awesome.
And then there's one with a higher, like more take that player interaction.
God, I like that. I like that there's
Like the
different.
options,
Yeah, you have
yeah.
the option to pick. I like that a lot.
You have to pick one of them.
Sure.
You have to put one in there. And you play 4 rounds, so each person essentially gets to start the I cut you choose twice. And you total up points just like you've totaled up in It's a Wonderful World. You get points. It's right on the cards. It tells you how you score and all that kind of stuff. I really like this one. I think if we're talking about progressing and things that we liked, I would say I'm getting more and more liked.
Nice.
This one. Wormholes, and then Evergreen.
Yeah. Yep.
And now I think Wonderful Kingdom
Okay.
and Evergreen are
Was your-
close. But this is
like this the
good.
best?
I liked It's a Wonderful World a lot. I remember we played it at Nerdfest a while
Nerdfest,
ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a cool game.
Right, agreed.
I got destroyed in it, but I was like, this is cool. And then I got a copy and I played it a few more times, and I was like, I do like this.
Yeah.
It's simple, it's straightforward. Anybody can really sit down and play that game.
For sure.
And I think this is a cool like change of pace to that game. If Devin and I are playing, I will pick It's a Wonderful Kingdom instead of It's a Wonderful World.
Right.
Obviously, if more people are there, we can't play It's a Wonderful Kingdom. But if I got the same feeling or liked It's a Wonderful World just as much with 2, I would get rid of this one. But I want to play It's a Wonderful Kingdom if it's just the 2 of us.
I wonder
If
what
that makes some sense.
prompted them to make this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was like
you
the
can
surge
play
of-
It's a Wonderful World with 2.
Yeah,
You can.
pass it back and forth.
And I mean, yeah, maybe
Maybe there's a third pile of cards when they do that. But
maybe
I don't
they
know.
were like, this game's really fun. I primarily play with 2. Card draft isn't. We're finding maybe that card drafting is not where people are picking.
Yeah, we're in this.
Because it reminds me of like Key Flower, Key Flow. Like I was surprised Key Flow was created at all.
Yeah.
Because the auction in Key Flower is what's awesome about
awesome.
it. The card draft in It's a Wonderful World is what's awesome about it.
Right.
And those 2 mechanisms were removed and
it's-
replaced in
it's
the other
weird,
games.
and I don't know if it's this wave of like 2-player games that are just like you have this IP, so I'm going to make Sobek 2-player. I'm going to make Splendor
Yeah,
2-player.
it's made
I'm gonna
just for
you
that.
All now people are just making 2-player versions like Cosmic Encounter Duel,
Right.
7 Wonders Duel, all these duelings.
Yeah.
A lot of duels.
Maybe this is another
Too many
dueling.
duels.
Yeah.
So I love the I cut, you choose thing. Those decisions were fun of both what to take, and then the added of
to
the trap
give.
tokens was cool. Of like, damn, what is Devin doing with those trap tokens?
Yeah. What does she not want me to
Or then
have?
what am
Yeah.
I doing with those trap tokens? Because sometimes you want to play, like, maybe play a Calamity card face up. So if Natalie and I are playing, maybe I place one face up next to a card that I kind of want. And then on my next turn, maybe I place, like, 2 face up again. And then forcing Natalie to either take the negative or wait, and then I'm going to take 4 cards. You get 4 cards in one pull. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I like trying to be sneaky and, like, setting up your turn next or
Yeah, it seems like
setting
there's
up
a
your
lot of
player
room
to
for
take
that.
that. That was kind of cool. I really like that. So I like the advisors one. I haven't played any of the other modules, but I'll update when I do because I think we'll do something different. But the advisor one was cool because I like special powers. Those supremacy tokens were easy to spend, and like the powers all were like worth it.
Yeah.
But you also didn't get to do it all the time. Like, there's only
Yeah.
4 rounds. It's not like I got to do it 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm saving up. I had to spend like 4 tokens, and Devin was winning supremacy and like everything, so I was barely doing tokens. I had to be like really smart with
Right.
when I used
what
it.
you used when.
I had one advisor that I could pay 3 of those tokens, and I could add 1 cube to each of my cards when I was constructing them at the end of the round, which is cool. But I had to have enough cards to make it worth it to spend, so that was fun. It was.
Was there anything you didn't like?
I think what I didn't like was I don't know. Again, the lasting power of this. In
Okay.
10 games, is it going to feel like, all right, I'm just kind of, I know how to play the game.
Like I know this.
But they can expand it pretty easily, yeah?
Yeah, so maybe with the different modules, right? I don't know if I would continue to play the advisors 10 times in a row. Maybe throw in the other one, which might change how I draft the cards
Sure.
or how I cut the cards. But there's not as big as a stack of cards like there are in It's a Wonderful World. It's a much smaller stack. Devin and I, you get through most of the cards, I would say.
Oh, I see. So you're going to see the same
Probably
ones.
like maybe 75% of the cards you get through. And in It's a Wonderful World, you're not seeing a lot of them, but that's also because you're playing with 6 people or however many that game plays. So you have to have more cards inherently. So even just like, I think that this is an easily expandable game, like you said. Here's another module. Here's another way to do this. So I'm going to keep playing it. I like it. And again, I don't play games 10, 20 times all
Right.
time. So
Right.
that's
Right, that doesn't matter.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this one. I would, if you guys want to borrow it and play it, I think
I really want to.
It'd be cool.
Yeah. I
get
kind of
your-
want to.
Yeah. So It's a Wonderful World by
Sweet.
Lucky Duck.
It's a Wonderful Kingdom.
Oh yeah, It's a Wonderful Kingdom.
Well, he's also right.
Yeah.
Natalie and I liked the game Nova Luna by good old Uwe Rose, and I had always wanted to check out the game its co-designer Corne van Moorsel designed, which is the game Nova Luna re-implemented called Habitats. Well, it got a fresh coat of paint and a re-release from Board Game Tables, and I backed it and got it to the table. In Habitats, players are working over 3 years to build out their wildlife park fresh with habitats of all sorts of different types of animals. The game is a tile layer, and so each tile you place in your tableau has a way to score that will be said on the tile itself. For instance, the zebra needs to be adjacent to grassland and water habitats in order to score. The way the tiles are selected each turn is by an agonizingly simple grid-based system. Depending on the number of players, a certain number of tiles are laid out in a grid pattern, so 4x4 in a 2-player game, with 2 of the spaces being empty that hold your player pawn, which is like this Jeep meeple or a Jeeple. That sounds kind of racist somehow. I won't say that again. I'm so sorry. Anyway, you take your Jeeple to either move it straight ahead, taking the tile directly in front of the Jeeple, or to the left or the right of the Jeeple. Driving to that space then with your Jeeple. After you move, you refill the space you just were in with a fresh tile. And then you place the tile you took into your tableau anywhere you like, so long as it's orthogonally adjacent to any other tile already played. Apart from the tiles themselves, aside from just the tiles themselves scoring based on proximity location, there are also 2 scoring tiles that pertain to your park as a whole that you are competing with the other players to get. And those tiles are evaluated at the end of each year. For instance, have the most 1-tile habitats in your park, or have the most exposed edges, things like this. At the end of the 3rd year, you total up your points, and the player with the most points is the winner. So things I liked. This game was tricky. It's like Nova Luna amped up a notch. Bam! The puzzle of figuring out how to position your Jeeple to get the tiles you want is very juicy and difficult. And then after taking the tile, you get into the situation where you need to place it in such a position that it helps your other tiles you've already played. But also this tile has conditions of its own that you must consider. And so getting those 2 things to line up is very crucial, challenging, and awesome when it works out. Scoring 1 or more tiles with 1 placement feels incredibly satisfying, but you can get into a situation where you're ignoring a large portion of your tableau because every tile you play over here on the one side to satisfy these tiles now needs to be satisfied by more tiles, and you just keep adding on to the same section over and over, and it's just a puzzle I really enjoyed. Also, the artwork is gorgeous. I much prefer this game to the nebulously themed Nova Luna, or even the newer reimplementation Framework. Why do they keep making versions of this game?
I don't know.
It's weird.
Nova Luna like broke my brain. I was like, I can't figure.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
good. It's a good game.
It's a good puzzle crunch.
But man, they keep making this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this better, not because of the theme itself necessarily, but it's just so much. It's more fun to look at. And it's just really a really well done production. Things I didn't like. There wasn't a ton I didn't like. The rule book is a bit barren, which I initially liked because it was an easy read. But there are some situations and tiles, for example, that just aren't explained super well or at all. So while it's mostly simple to figure it out, you still sometimes are forced to figure it out. And that's not always great. I would have loved like a tile glossary. The end of year scoring tiles literally aren't mentioned in the rulebook at all, other than during setup. So if you have a question on how one of them works, good luck. Better hope BGG has something on it already. I'm making it sound like that's going to happen a lot. And while this game is heavier than something like Nova Luna or Framework, it's still only like a 2.24 or something like that. So it's not like a challenging play or even a teach. There are a few rules that are confusing enough that you might need to look at the rules. For instance, animal tiles don't count their own terrain type when scoring, but other tiles do. And tiles that score by having animals around them only score if those animals that are around them also score. So it's a little bit tricky to remember. If you haven't played this in a month or so, you're not just probably going to pick right up into it and remember everything. You have to just kind of go over it. Luckily, the rulebook's not so big or lengthy that's a big deal. The Kickstarter version also came with these animeeples that you can use to score the tiles during the game instead of the normal victory point markers. But honestly, I just found that there were so many of them, it would just take a long time to sift through to find the exact animal for your tile that I don't even think I'll use them, which is kind of a bummer because I paid for them and they're sweet looking. Overall, I really enjoyed Habitats and I'm happy that we have it and no longer have Nova Luna, as it's got a bit more to chew on than Nova Luna, and that's a good thing for me. So what do you think, Natalie?
I really liked this one. This is by far the best one that we talked about tonight.
Agreed.
I liked the weight and the length of this game.
Girth.
Right, how was the bulbosity?
How's the girth? Yeah.
The girth was perfect.
Damn, girl.
Say it slower.
I really liked how you move around with your little Jeep to collect the tiles. And it was like, it's weird.
Don't say that.
It felt like limited, like you had like limited choices, but you also didn't at the same time, if that makes sense.
Nope.
You know, like,
Explain that.
well, because like each time you either at most have like 3 choices, but usually you have less than that.
Yeah, true.
You know, because the grid is only what, 3x3?
4x4.
Oh, 4x4. But
Yep.
still, it's not very big. You're
Right,
always
it's not big.
You always find yourself on the ends. You know,
But it's only
and-
4x4 with 2 players. More
Oh.
players, it goes up. There's more tiles.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yep.
But at the same time, like you can still kind of
You're not
go
gonna
wherever
say.
you want, you know, if there's like certain things that you need. But most of all, I enjoyed placing the tiles and like trying to fulfill the tiles and placing them in spots that work together. You know, like I'll place it here and it completes this one, but it also helps this one
That's
that it's
fun.
next to, you know, so like doing that kind of stuff is fun. While at the
Kinda
same
like combos.
time,
Tile
yeah,
and combos.
Her
exactly.
favorite snack.
And at the same time, like end of round, trying to get end of round points.
Pizza face.
And
Okay.
you know, and then it's not even just like the animal tiles. There's like several different other options. Like there's like watchtowers and tourists and all these other ways to get points too, besides just the animals. And I don't know. I just thought it was just like a really fun.
It was a good experience.
Game, and it wasn't, you know, there wasn't a lot of AP, and it was pretty quick, and it was like just like that perfect amount of like challenge trying to figure it out. And then like you said, the artwork is great. I mean, I like games with animals in it, and this one's like a really cool looking one.
Natalie Hans Niemanned me in this game. She fucking destroyed me. She
I had my
stomped
anal
on my face.
beaten.
I'll be releasing my
Yeah, your anal
statement.
beaten?
I'll be releasing my
Natalie,
statement in a
that's
couple
why
days.
You needed me to look this game up and look up some
Place the
strategy.
chameleon next to the honey badger.
It was weird why I couldn't just like text you about it. I had to send
Yeah.
you this weird. I had this pulsating app that I had to send you. That was very strange. But now I know.
I really thought it was being that close to me that was doing it for her, but no, it was the anal bead.
Yeah, I did it.
Gosh, yeah, Jeff did it.
That's why I kept fidgeting around.
I'm cool with that. Yeah. I'll take this one. Dang it. Yeah, so that is Habitats by Board Game Tables. It's like the 3rd version of it, because this came out originally back in like 2016. And this guy that designed it, what's his name? What's the name of the box right there, Jeff?
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber. He
Corne von Morsel.
Corne von Morsel. He co-designed Nova Luna with Uwe Rosenberg. I'm not sure if he's also on the box of Framework, and then the next 13 games they're probably going to make of this exact system.
So listen, we'll give Haljamar a bad
Kalmar
time.
Hach.
We're giving him
Yeah.
a hard time about making
Right.
2 of the same games. This guy just
Yeah,
keeps
Morsel.
going, yeah, I got this game. Instead of dots, let's make them look like strings. Framework. And now
Boom.
let's put animals on
Let's
it.
go backward. Let's harken back to the old
So,
design
what do you
with
think about
animals.
these?
And Uwe Rosenberg is like, oh my God, let's listen to this. I got the idea for you, my friend. The moon.
The moon.
The fucking
We'll put
moon.
discs on it.
You did animals. What if we did the moon? Completely different game.
I don't know why. I didn't know
Completely
why Uwe
different.
didn't go. Why don't we farm in the 15th century?
Yeah, exactly. Completely different game. So that's Habitats. The Gamecasters are hosting a convention. Yes, NerdFest is now open to the public and admission is completely free. Simply head over to eventcreate.com/nerdfest. There you will find all the information you need to get registered and hopefully pumped up for the con. So we would love to have you on January 13th, 14th, and 15th to play games and laugh along with us all weekend long. Once again, the website is eventcreate.com/nerdfest. If you're looking to support the show, maybe consider flushing your money down the Gamecasters toilet by way of our Patreon page. There are 4 different tiers which will get you access to behind-the-scenes content, exclusive content, or content ahead of time. You will also get swag that nobody else has access to, and just the opportunity to help out and support a podcast which you sometimes listen to. We have amazing patrons. Thank you so much for your support, guys. If you'd like to donate to help us pay for things like hosting fees and that blank that Jeff's had his eye on, please head on over to patreon.com/thegamecasters to help out. The Gamecasters Twitch account has relaunched and we're live every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday night, streaming board game and video game content and having a blast talking to all of you. If you just simply can't get enough Gamecasters in your day, please consider heading on over to twitch.tv/Gamecasters and give us a follow and maybe a sub. I have the best time streaming for everyone and it's just a super fun place to unwind after a long day and watch someone who is trash at games play games. Come hang out and engage with me in a way you never thought you had to before, but I'm sorry, you do. Twitch.tv/Gamecasters. Possibly the best way to interact with all of us, though, is via our Discord server. If you go to the Gamecasters Instagram page, you can check out our link tree in our bio to get access to our server. It's a great way to engage with all 3 of us on a daily basis, as well as meet a bunch of like-minded, awesome people. So check out our Discord server. Why don't you step inside? Come on, it's warm in there. You think you found some grass, but nope, it's pubic hair. You wonder why there's so much underwear. You stepped inside of Natalie's Nook.
Today on Natalie's Nook, we're talking about rules.
Rules is
More
rules.
specifically...
Wait, time out. Is it the rules for Natalie Nook? Like Jeff and Ryan can't
We're talking about the rules. We haven't even started
gosh,
yet.
That's a great Nook topic.
Yeah.
I'm totally doing that. But this one is about rules and how they affect the enjoyment of learning and how often games get played. And I'm not talking about like how good or bad people are explaining the rules. I'm talking about like the actual rules.
The rules themselves.
How those affect the enjoyment of learning the games and how often the games get played. So,
the enjoyment of learning the game. Is that what you said? How they affect the game?
The enjoyment of learning the game.
Got it.
Before you even start learning a game, I think most people size up the rule book. You probably look at it like, all right, what am I in for?
Yeah, right.
You know, like, oh, cool, this is, this is only a few pages, or like, oh boy, this is going to be a while kind of thing.
It's a novel.
You know? So I think that is like one of the first things that people look at before
Look at
they...
that rule book.
Oh, yeah, that rule book.
I'm showing Jeff the Habitats rule book.
Okay.
It's just like one page.
That's it.
Flat.
It's over. And then the back page is just a gigantic example of almost like
It's
everything.
just like a
you need
giant
to see.
brochure.
Easy.
Like, kind of thing.
Yeah, it is a
simple.
brochure.
But so you look at that rule book and you're like, fuck yeah. Okay, this game is going to be
Right.
learned now.
You're almost
Easy.
like in a better mood because you're like, okay, this is going to be a breeze.
I was in a better mood.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
totally
you're talking about
true.
the enjoyment of learning the game. You're like, oh, sweet. Like that, you know, that's how you feel. I mean, I'm not talking for everybody. Maybe somebody has like a book of a rule book and they're like, yes, let me settle in. And then some
there
people
are
might be
people
like,
like
oh
that.
God, you know, like, I
sure.
don't know if I want to do this, you know? So that's one thing that I think affects the enjoyment of learning the game based on just the size of the rule book. And also, if they take a long time to learn and a long time to explain, that's a potential reason a game will not be pulled out very often. For example, like Lisboa. Like, you love that game, but it took a long time to learn and it took a really long time to explain.
Yep.
You know, and so because the rules require all of that, one, do you enjoy explaining and learning and spending all that time? And two, like, how often are you going to play it?
Yes, that was the first game I thought of when you mentioned this topic, was Lisboa, because that's an example of a game that I love. I love that game. We played that, and I thought it was so good. But I can't help but remember the teach taking like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And
I remember I was like exhausted.
learning
after the
it was
teach.
also tricky, and it was just like I felt like it couldn't be short. I'm sure it can be shorter. I'm sure it
Yeah.
could. I felt like as I was teaching, I was like, I gotta talk about this
gotta
now.
cover all this
I
stuff,
gotta
yeah.
cover, and then it's over, and it's like, oh my god, we started at 7 and it's 8:30, and we haven't even started. We almost didn't play it. We were almost like,
remember you guys
I don't
talking
think we
about-
could do
I think-
this.
Did that happen to Ben and M?
Yeah.
Date Night
Yeah, with
Dice where
Clinic, I
Ben,
think.
Yeah, where Ben explained it, and M 30
was
minutes
just
in was
like,
like,
no.
put
Nah.
this fucking game away.
No,
This isn't
Yeah.
gonna
Not
work
happening.
out. Yeah. I think also how intuitive the rules are can also affect the enjoyment of learning the game. Like if you're reading through and everything's making sense and you're likely feeling like smart and enjoying that it's a breeze, you're reading all the sections like, first you do this. Okay, yep, that makes sense. Then you do this. Okay, got
That's a
it.
great point.
You know what I mean? But if you're like constantly rereading things, trying to understand what a rule means, and I'm not talking about like the way it's explained. It's just a complicated
Yes.
rule. And might be just really hard to explain in writing, and you're probably getting frustrated, and you might even give up, and that's just not fun when you're like learning the game.
Do you want to talk about rule books?
I do. Can we? Are we allowed?
Are we allowed? What are the rules of talking
What are the
about
rules of the rules discussion?
Ooh, yeah.
Because I want to talk about rule books. I don't think you can have this discussion without it.
Okay.
Are you
what
sure?
do you mean?
What would you like us to talk about right now in this moment?
What do you mean talking about rule books?
Like I
Like-
want to talk about how rules are in the rule books and how we read them and look at them.
and understand them and
like-
how they're written.
Like you
Yeah,
just showed me
sure.
the Habitat rule book and it's a page, and I looked at it and said, "Okay, that's great." But what if it's not? Like,
Yeah, is it
what
too
if it's
short?
bad?
Yeah.
So a game that comes to mind with that problem is Tapestry.
Yeah.
Tapestry is advertised as like a 4-page rule book with it's a Civ game, it's a 4-page rule book, it's going to play quick.
Right.
And I do like Tapestry a lot, but there are some what if questions that are just not in the rule book that you
Yeah.
have to kind of like
Seek out.
seek out
Yeah.
or play, and
Oh,
it's
that's
like,
a good
okay, well
point.
the rule book is short and yeah, you kind of knew the rules, but I wouldn't have minded
But I feel
another
like it's
page.
missing some information.
Right? Or so if
that I
Habitats
think is
did it well
important,
in a
yeah.
pamphlet,
Sort of.
cool for them.
Sort of. They did. I mean, you can learn the game
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
way. But it's like
But
what
like
you
Ryan
said.
said, if there was an extra page that had a little bit
Glossary. Give
more
me a fucking tile
explanation of
glossary.
certain things, then
I
that would
always
be
love-
really
Yeah, don't-
beneficial.
I always love being able to go to a split. Like we're playing a
Here's
tile
an
laying game.
example.
Like, how does this exact tile work?
It's like it's like having a fucking player aid. Right?
Yeah.
that helps
Right.
with rules.
That's another point.
Because that's one way that I don't know if I'm going off script here.
No.
That's one way that I teach is if there's a good player
Yeah,
aid,
follow along.
follow along with me. Dev and I are both teachers. Follow along.
Yeah.
Right.
Point to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here at A. Let's start at A and talk about what we can do.
Yeah.
And then we move on to B. Right? Like that's a
That is
That's
Jeff Teacher
also
voice.
like
layout, right?
because like
It's the Cliff
people
Notes.
learn.
Right.
Some people learn well, like audibly and visually,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like both. If you
Yeah,
have a
give 'em
player
both.
aid, you're hearing it and you're kind of seeing that little like synopsis of the rule in the player
Mm-hmm.
aid, and so like you're just gonna understand it.
Yeah, we're kind of getting
Yeah.
into the teach, which is probably part of what you wanted to talk about, or the rules themselves. Because
I have more about the rules too, but
because
No, it's just about-
stick to the rules.
Jeff's point of the rule
It's about
book.
the rules themselves.
So Jeff's point
right,
about
all
the
right.
rule book, and to your point, Natalie, which I thought was a great point you made earlier about a well written rule book, even if it's long, if it's written well enough that you don't have to constantly be like, what? And then go back and be like, what?
Yeah.
Like we were just playing da-da-da, and this rule book was very short. But I honestly, I read through it and I was like, I don't understand.
Dave said the same thing. He was like, the rules are very bad. Right
Yeah.
Before he taught it, he's like, they're bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, I had to have Natalie come over and explain to me how combat worked in this game. I was like, I don't understand what the hell it's telling me. I don't understand it. It was a
Yeah.
short rule book, but it was written, or translated, I should
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
very poorly. But there are rule books that are, and I'm okay. You're gonna say some shit, but Maria's rule book is actually really good, and it's long though. But when you're reading it, I'm reading it, and it's like, okay, this makes perfect. It makes perfect sense.
yeah.
And so it makes that game easier, more accessible, and easier for me to teach you when I'm understanding it from this rulebook. I think you cannot, you can't overemphasize how important a well-written rulebook is for your game.
And
Yeah.
thinking about examples, sometimes long rule books are okay because that they include examples of what's
Yeah.
happening. They have pictures of what's going on. Sometimes when like Natalie just said, like people are visual learners, people are auditory learners. If I read something and it doesn't make sense, where like I look for a picture. Like, oh,
Every
that's
time.
That's the thing that you called a
Makes it click.
yeah, that's the counselor. I'm like, what the fuck's a counselor? And then I go back to the front page and go, oh, the black pawn is the counselor. So let me flip back here. And
Agreed.
Okay, great.
Agreed.
But
Every time.
if there's a picture there, then I'm like, great, let's keep rolling, let's keep going. If
Or
I have
to
to
your
keep
point-
flipping
Right,
back
there's
and
no
forth.
question.
To your point, an example. So often in a rule book, I've read a rule book and I don't quite get it. And then they just move on to the next rule, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep reading, but I kind of don't get that. But then there's other rules, there's other games where it's like I read it and I'm like, I don't really get it. And then immediately after that paragraph, they're like, for example, and then I just look at that example and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's all. Examples are huge,
Or at least in parentheses, give me some hope and say, this will be explained more on page 8.
Yeah.
Which a lot of them do
Yeah.
that. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay,
Right.
I know it's coming.
With,
yeah.
Right, go ahead. With Obsession, it's like there was so much like fluff to go along with that.
Right.
Like, that rule book should
Got
have
in its
been
own
shorter.
way. Yeah.
And it was like, man, that just made the play and the
learning it.
teach
These
hard.
rule books need editors. They need
So-
editing.
They need editing and they need people playing the game. I've heard a lot of designers will sit down and they'll just give the rule book right to people who are playing it and don't teach it.
Right.
So
Learn it
when
from
you
there.
When we play Samurai, you just read the rule book and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then whatever questions come up, maybe it was Jamie Stegmaier in some sort of like interview or something.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever questions come up, start fucking making notes.
Right, writing it
Being
right
like,
down.
Oh, this just came up. This came up. This came up. How do I fix my rule book to make
Yeah.
sure those? Because you want to
Those are
sit down and
clear.
you want it to just be butter.
You have to assume, and this is what I think is the hardest thing for a designer to do. I'm not saying I'm a designer, but what the hardest thing is to do is to get out of your own head. You're the one that created the game, so everything comes naturally to you with the game already. So it's harder for you to understand what somebody who's never played it before needs to know.
Yeah.
Because in your head, you're like, well, that's obvious. I'm going to do this. No, it's not. It's not obvious. You have to make it baby's first board game to everybody who's reading it. And I think examples are the best way. Just to put an example for every fucking rule you have, and that's the best way to get and convey what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
like I said, and I can't overemphasize how important it is for a game that I'm playing to have a well-written rule book. It doesn't have to have fluff. It doesn't have to have humor. But if it's well-written, that's everything.
Yeah. Another thing that I thought of is if rules are not too complex and they're easy to remember, that game will likely get played much more often.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
talking about like the actual like rules of the game, and I'm not sure. I mean, I've never designed a game. I don't know how hard this is, but one of our favorite things is games that are like they're difficult and challenging, but the actual rule set is easy to
Yes.
understand. So example,
Probably
even
the
like
hardest thing to do.
right.
Yeah.
So like an example. Okay, so we love On Mars, right? There's a lot of rules, and if we don't play it often, we're gonna have to relearn it every time. Even though that is a pretty intuitive game once you like know the rules. But even a bigger game, not as big as On Mars, but like I'm not talking about like light games. I'm talking about decent size games like Wonderland's War or like Ark Nova. They have pretty simple.
Ark Nova's great.
They have pretty simple rule sets, and they're gonna get played more often because at most you're just gonna have to like check a couple things to
Yeah.
refresh.
Yeah, or what is that little thing?
Right,
Like
what does
those
this
games
icon
can
do
last for
again?
like 3 hours, so they're not just like a little light nothing game, but because the rules of the game are just like so easy and simple,
I think that's a big reason why Ark Nova is where it is.
we
Yeah.
play it all the time.
There are a
then.
ton of games that are my favorite games that the rules are stuck in my brain.
Yeah.
Not because I've played it 100 times.
Right.
Right? Like a game like Trajan,
Yeah.
I will never
Forget how to
forget
play.
the
everything
rules.
just makes
Early on,
sense,
I'll
yeah.
never forget those rules.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Ark Nova, like you just said. Some
Yep.
of these games are just so good and so smooth that it's like, that's what you do. I look at the
Right.
board and I'm like, okay, everything's right there. It's all flies back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And those are like heavy. Even in Carnegie, I don't know if I'll ever have to pick up the rule book for Carnegie again.
Very simple game.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, but like the depth is there.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like Ark Nova, like one of Ryan's, what he said, one of his favorite things, like a lot of 3-hour games you expect, like, oh, this is going to be a long game to teach. There's going to be a lot of rules. But Ryan's like, one of my favorite things about that game is like, I can teach that in like 20
Yeah.
minutes
Yeah.
or
That's
less.
the best.
Yeah.
Because there's
Where you're
not
like,
that much to
am I
it,
done?
but there is a lot to the game.
I've
Yeah.
said that numerous times. And Carnegie was the last time I explained it to both Devin and our game group. And I was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah, right.
We're like, I'm done.
Wait,
I
did
got
I
it.
just cover
Did I
everything? I
miss
couldn't have
something?
covered
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But I think I covered everything. Yeah, I completely agree. Those, like, kind of like Jeff said, and both Jeff and Natalie, the best games the games that come out the most, maybe, tend to be the games where the rule set is simple enough that you just don't forget it.
Yeah.
I could teach, there's so many games like that I could just like, oh yeah, I could pull out Castles Burgundy and I could teach that, even though I haven't played it for a year, I could do I could do a similar thing with like the Palaces of Carrara. I could just pull that out and teach that.
Like if you have a game night and you're like, oh, now I have to like pick out a game and make sure I learn it ahead of time and find time to do that. But then there's games where you're like, oh, I can teach this one, and you don't have to worry about all that prep work.
Will get picked over and over versus the other games that I have to relearn. Vitelliciter games are so good, but they just don't see the table because, and it's mostly not just because of the length of play, not because of the setup, but because of the rule book and the rule set and the teach and the remembering and because they're heavy, but we play heavy games all the time.
Yeah,
we don't care about
it's
that.
just they're a lot. That's you got anything else you want to say?
I do.
That's all
Do
I
it.
know.
I have also, if you are new to games and you're struggling to read heavy rule books, just hallelujah that we live in a time that you can watch.
Yeah,
videos,
Yeah,
right?
really.
So I would recommend, like, what I've done to get better at rules and teaching and learning is I will watch a video and I'll have the rule book, if it's available, have the rule book sitting in front of me. Mm-hmm. And while they're teaching and I'm hearing it, I'll look at the rule book and be like, okay, this is this part of the rule book. Because a lot of those videos will go in rule book order for the most part.
Yep.
If it's a good rule book, of course. And that helps.
That's a good idea.
Or a lot of people do like the sandwich, right? You read the rule book, you watch a video, and then you go back to the rule book to touch up on the things that didn't really make sense right before the play.
For sure.
So thankfully we have all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I promise you that it gets easier to read rule books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more you play, the more you are willing to read a longer rule book, the more you'll understand what the words mean. Like, yes, there are new mechanisms in games, but when you've played lots and lots of games, it will come easier to you when you've played those type of games.
Because when you
100%.
played lots of games, it's kind of rare for things to be like that unique.
Yep.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's different iterations and different little things, but overall, like you've played something similar to before.
Yeah.
It's
so
very
you can
likely
then pull,
that
like,
that's
when you're
happening.
either learning or teaching someone, you then pull from that and say like, hey, this is kind of like Sagrada,
Right.
where you're drafting dice, but instead of dice, we're taking cards.
Right.
So you kind of use those experiences to help you learn the other rules, which is great. And just if you are new to games and you're trying to get people to play heavier games, you're going to lose nons all the time. This is where go back and listen to something about like gateway games and those next level games, because if you whip out a Maria, you're going to lose people.
Fucking lose
if
them.
you whip out Terra Mystica right
They're
away.
only going to play Maria for the rest of their life.
they'll
more
They'll be
games.
so thankful.
But they won't play
bow down
anything
to
else.
you.
They won't play anything else.
Yeah,
though.
I do promise you that reading rules does get easier, and thankfully we have videos that.
But the rules yawn never goes away. That's not your fault.
Yes.
No, that's just-
If people are yawning, that's normal.
There's some weird psychological thing that happens when the second I was like, okay, so this is a worker placement game, and
Yeah. Like 2 seconds in, I'm yawning.
What's
every
that again?
time.
What are you doing here?
are you tired? No,
Yeah.
it's 12.
Oh, it's this
it's
thing.
noon. Everything's fine.
Damn
just
it,
the way
noon.
it's just the way it works. So don't feel like when
Yeah.
you're teaching a game, oh fuck, I'm boring everybody.
Yeah.
No, everyone does it. You do it. We all do it. So that's really funny. Good Nook topic.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I like that. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think I covered it.
Well then. Check it. That's right. It's time for another rousing round of the Association Station. If you don't know how this works, Constantinople's Istanbul. Skirmish Moves is War Chest. Stefan Feldkondom is Trajan. There you go. Now you're caught up. We've got 10 games for Jeff and Natalie to try and associate before the other. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Jeff.
Look how far away the fucking bell
Well, I
is.
didn't move it yet.
No, I'm not ready.
You know what's funny? I have written down here, Jeff, put on your Natalie swatting glove, and Natalie, get ready to inch that bell closer and closer to yourself while Jeff looks away. Here we
Can you reach
go.
it?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, can you,
Jeff's got to
he's
keep
got-
score.
Jeff's gotta keep
do all
score.
this stuff.
He's got a job.
Write this stuff
Jeff's got
down
jobs to
first,
do.
okay? Got a drawing of someone's head on here. I got to figure this out.
The bell's still closer.
Okay. Jeff.
Maybe he's got longer arms.
J and N.
Maybe he
Jeff's the
does.
short one. I'm telling you. I'm older than Jeff.
I'm older but shorter.
Number 1. Crypts,
The 5'2"
Cubes, and Crisis.
Crips. What?
Crypts, Cubes, and Crisis. Natalie.
Dungeon, Dice, and Danger.
Correct.
Oh, look how this like interlaps.
I
The things interlap.
Jeff was
have to, like-
trying to touch the
No,
bell,
he
and it was like
didn't.
way out of his
He was
grip.
like this.
I have to like violate her to touch this.
He was like trying to touch it. It was out of his reach at first. He had to lean.
No,
he had to
he
do the
didn't.
crokinole butt cheek
Yeah,
lean.
Can you reach
one
it?
buck.
All right, Natalie, good job. Right, Dungeons, Dice, and Danger. All right, number 2. Knights in an East domain. Jeff,
Paladins of the West Kingdom.
Paladins of the West Kingdom.
1-1.
Correct. Natalie's not happy with that
Natalie
one. Good
hates that
job,
one.
Jeff.
What are paladins?
Knights.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Instead of in the East or in the West.
For some reason,
Instead of a kingdom, it was a domain.
Yeah, they're
I thought that, but I was like, I'm not sure what paladins are.
You thought that?
I thought
There's a
that
giant
game.
face.
Oh,
guess you
but
have
I was like, not.
Okay.
You
Somebody
have
were like, I
spots. I was like,
think
there's a
a
giant
paladin's a
knight.
knight, but I'm not going to
No,
do it.
I thought paladins was like some sort of like
That's a for sure.
landmark or like some, you know.
Well,
the
you thought a
statues
paladin
of
was
the
a
West
All right, number 3. The Club of Traveling Vendors.
Club of traveling vendors.
Correct.
Vendors.
The Club of Traveling Vendors.
Of
Oh.
Is this a game you played?
I don't
Yes,
know.
both of you have played this game.
The
Club of Traveling.
The Club of Traveling Vendors.
Vendors.
Both of you have played this game. Both of you enjoy this game.
we do. We probably
We
do.
do.
You do.
I
You
enjoy it a
definitely
lot.
do. Both of you enjoy. Actually, I think both of you enjoy it a lot. I would say
like
that.
playing games.
Okay, we'll go move on to number 4.
Wait, let
The
me
Club
write
of
this.
Traveling Vendors, the sisterhood of the traveling bands. All right. Number 4, aerial nylon attached to pieces of string, sometimes with a tail.
Ariel like mermaid.
Or like
No.
Ariel, like Ariel nylon.
Ariel Winter.
Aerial nylon attached to pieces of string, sometimes with a tail.
Oh,
Natalie.
kite.
Yes, ma'am. Kites. Very good. She got it.
Wow. I need to get back. I'm not in the. I'm not in the choo choo
yeah.
You're not in choo-choo
brain.
mode? You're not in choo-choo mode.
I'm not in the association.
Well, I was like
brain
something
right
in the sky that has a tail, a kite. Like, come on.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, it did say nylon. Aerial nylon.
That's true,
Attached
nylon.
to pieces
now.
of string.
I was just thinking
String.
Ariel Winter.
Right, string. Ooh,
Whoa.
damn, you should have been.
Yeah.
No, give yourself a point.
I got it.
Give yourself a point.
String.
That's one. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 5. Jeff's up 3-2.
Yep. That was your.
The verb form of Kevin's chili from The Office. Jeff.
The spill.
The spill.
Oh.
He spills everywhere.
He spills it
Okay,
everywhere.
first of all,
Yeah.
we had to talk about that scene.
Okay.
They had to clean that shit up.
Oh my god, how many times did you just spill it?
Like, yeah, did he spill it just once and then they cleaned it up?
They
This is
probably
so
had to
funny.
replace that
I
carpet,
made
right?
this association station like a week ago
Okay.
or longer. Just today, randomly, I came across a video of him on the Rich Eisen show talking about that scene.
Yeah, I
they
think-
only did it once.
Really?
Great.
The person came up to him and they were like, "We only have 3 carpets, so you got to fucking get this right." And he was like, "Oh shit!" In the bottom half of that tub, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, there's a scene in The Office. It's a opening scene, the cold open.
Yeah.
Kevin from The Office comes in, he brings in this gigantic pot of chili, and there's a voiceover where he's talking about this chili, and he's alone in the office bringing it in. He's excited about serving this chili to everybody. Well, Kevin being Kevin, he immediately dumps it,
Spills
just
it
fucking
everywhere.
spills it
Trips and spins it. It's
everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's just, well, how big is this pot? It's like a 10-gallon
It's
fucking
huge.
pot.
Oh my
It's
God,
enormous.
huge,
And he just
yeah.
like spills everywhere. So he was like, so he's like, what they did was a little genius. He's like, because this pot was so big, for it to tip over like it did, I would have had to try hard, right? Because it's this
Yeah, 'cause
huge
it's so
thing.
heavy.
He's like, so what they did was the bottom half of this thing was styrofoam. And
So
so,
it was top heavy.
so he's like, it was
Oh, okay.
the rest was filled with tons of chili, but it was really top heavy now, and so it easily just fell out of my hands onto the floor. And the part where he he grabs like the, what is that? The clipboard, and he's
Yeah.
like getting it back,
Yeah.
and he's like, they were like, was that improv? And he's like, yeah, I think that was me.
That's
Which is a
funny.
great scene. Good job, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nailed that
doesn't he
one.
have like I think he has like a book or like something he's promoting that's like related to like the chili scene.
Yeah, he wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think.
Well, I don't think it was about
Capitalize.
that, but
It wasn't about that.
I think the name of the
profit.
book is a
I
play
think the name
on
of the book
chili.
was like a
oh my
play
God,
on the-
stop.
I got it. I nailed it. Number
first.
6. Menstruation week. Serious. Think about it. You can get it. Menstruation week.
What? Wait, is that number 6?
That's number 6.
Okay, but yeah, because we have Club of Hoo-Ha's.
You have the Club of Traveling Vendors.
Okay.
That's number
Menzies
3.
week.
Menzies week. Dang, that's better. Let's call it Menzies week. Number 6.
Menstruation.
Menzies week.
Menzies week. A week of Menzies.
You got it.
Okay, so
That's
week
correct.
of the Menzies.
Nailed it. All right, number 7. While you're waiting for that. Dang it. Sir Masturbation Hole.
Sir?
Sir Masturbation Hole.
Sir Master Hole. Sir Masturbation Hole.
Yes, Sir Masturbation Hole.
Well, this
I think these are good. I'll say that.
This masturbation person has been knighted.
Yeah, I thought that too.
So they're Sir, like Sir Elton John. Sir
Right.
Masturbation Hole.
Yeah, Sir Masturbation Hole.
So what's
Like,
you already said Knights of... No, that's Paladins of the West.
It was. Remember when you thought Paladin was a place?
Yep. No, I thought it was like a landmark.
ding.
Jeff.
Mr. Jack Pocket.
What?
Great
Yeah.
job, Jeff. You said your brain wasn't in it. You're in it more. You came back.
Is that like
Sir,
Mr. Jack?
Mr.
There's a
Jack.
pocket version. Jeff has
Oh,
it, right? You have it,
okay.
don't you?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, the Mr. Yeah, Mr. Jack. And there's a
think I
pocket
would've
version.
gotten
Oh, you
that.
didn't know that was a game. Oh.
No, I knew Mr. Jack was. I didn't.
No.
I wouldn't have said the pocket part.
Yeah, I got it. Nice, Jeff.
Mr.
Very
Jack
good.
Pocket Party.
Wait.
Oh boy.
What was it again?
Sir Masturbation Hole.
Oh, like jack off.
Yeah, right.
I was trying to make sense.
What?
You just got that.
Yeah.
Oh, you were trying to make sense of the Mr. Jack that was that.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I was like,
Is
what?
Holds the
Masturbation
pocket.
hole.
That, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got there. I'm happy for you. Number 8, polyhedral stairs.
Polyhedral stairs.
Stairs. Yeah, polyhedral stairs.
That's like a shape, right?
Polyhedral
What kind of shape is that?
Polyhedral stairs.
stairs.
You also both have played this game an awful lot and love it.
Polyhedral. Oh.
Jeff is amazing at it.
Oh, tumbling dice.
Tumbling dice.
Is that what you were gonna say?
I don't think you were.
No, I
You were?
wasn't.
Okay. Because we said that, you looked like you were still like, oh.
No, I
Yeah.
thought that, and then I was like, wait, that's probably not right.
That was
When
it.
you said that, I was like, okay.
You nailed it. Yep. All right, number 9. Number 9.
Number 9. Oh, number 9 is the number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
What? That's
Number
the
9.
clue?
Number 9 is number 9.
No, we're on number 9.
That's
Okay.
number 9. Wait, is the clue number 9 or you just?
Well, it
Oh,
can't,
we're on number 9.
it can't be number 9 because you just said it.
Well, why don't you just ding in and say something? I don't know. Number 9. We're on number 9.
Yeah, we're on number 9.
Number
Natalie.
9.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to wear. Like,
If I could
I don't
do
wanna
my
be the
best,
one.
If I could do my best Natalie look, that would be it. That'd be it. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Oh, fucking shit.
Ugh.
There's no way. There's no way. When you were like, well, there's no way it's number 9, I was like, God, I hope Jeff dings in and says number 9, and it's right. That would have been the best thing ever. Number 10,
Number 10.
salesman's butthole.
salesman's
Sales
butthole?
beehole.
Salesman's butthole.
Salesman's. A sales.
You only have 2 other that you haven't gotten, right?
Butthole.
Yeah.
Two? Oh yeah, men's.
Salesman-
What's the word for salesman?
Salesman's butthole.
Salesman.
These are all pretty good.
Salesman's butthole.
Butthole. Like anus?
The word butthole is really
Butthole.
funny.
I know.
Yeah.
B for
Remember when we were in
butthole.
in elementary school, people used to call people buttholes.
Yeah, buttholes.
Yep.
That was
I
a
Call
I-
people buttholes.
that was a
I do.
pejorative back in the day.
You call people buttholes?
Yeah.
She won't really
Well,
say
no, okay, the
beehole. She
youth-
says
Yeah,
beehole.
that's right. I say
You-
beehole.
The youth of
Which is also really funny.
the country did not call people buttholes anymore. It's underutilized.
Well, they
That's
they
sad.
moved up. They graduated to asshole.
yeah, they just.
But
they just
butthole is-
call people
is
with-
better.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
to say son of a
freaking
beehole
butthole.
a lot.
Right. You have to
Okay.
get right on the edge of swearing.
Salesman-
All right, so here's what we got. Okay,
Butthole.
you missed the Club of Traveling Vendors,
Club of Traveling Vendors.
Menstruation Week, Menses Week,
Menzies Week.
and,
Menstruation
and
Week.
Salesman's Butthole.
Salesman's butthole.
Jeff, what is the current score?
It is 4-3.
Jeff's up 4-3.
to me.
All right.
Club of Traveling Vendors.
The Club of Traveling Vendors.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're like a group. They all come together and they're like, "Hey, have you sold any shit?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're traveling vendors. How else are you supposed to make a living?"
You got
Club of
it.
Traveling.
You're saying it, man.
Yeah,
That's,
and
you
they
get,
just
you're,
they
this
get
is
together
perfect.
and they hang out and they're like, what do you sell? Encyclopedias, vacuums, insurance. You go door to door and you sell things.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a whole group of them that just
Right,
they
you're
team
totally
together and they just go out and they sell their little
They've got like their
scamming
little like
asses.
vendors.
They
like
sell their
little
buttholes.
Excuse me, sir,
Traveling
would you like to
Club
buy a
of
butthole?
Sales butthole.
I will sell it off to you. And then Menses Week.
You want one
Menzies Week.
butthole. Okay, Menzies Week. That's not Blood Rage.
Correct.
No.
It's
I'll say that. Correct.
about Menzies and it lasts 7 days.
I can't decide.
7 days is a week.
Right.
Okay?
Yep,
It's a
true.
week of
7.
sales buttholes.
7.
7. Is it? Maybe it's 7.
You made a
something.
face when you said 7.
He did?
Yeah,
Who did? I did?
You did.
No, I did not.
You were
said
like,
7.
you're like, a week is 7 days, and he was like,
Maybe he just learned that.
I did. I didn't know. I thought.
I am a teacher. Now,
7.
Seven Wonders would be weird.
No.
No one
That's
no one
not
calls a Menzies the Wonder.
Menzies week.
Okay.
Menzies week.
I like
Bloody
this
7.
one. Sounds good. And then you have Salesman's Butthole.
Salesman's Butthole.
Crampy
it's-
7.
I love that when you repeat it after me.
Cramp
It's
7,
so much fun.
So,
Wish is ramping that last
Butthole.
phone.
yeah, Salesman's Butthole.
Salesman's Butthole.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to move on a little bit, and then you can think about those while we're going to the top 5 games that we think would make a good movie/television show.
Movie /
Here's what we're going to do.
Butthole.
We're going to start with me. We're gonna mosey on over to the other end of the table, clockwise direction, fashionably,
That's
and go with
okay.
Natalie, and we're gonna end with Jeff.
Okay.
All right, number 5 for me. These are games that we think may be a good, get a good treatment for movies or television shows.
Yeah,
And-
I need to pause. I would need to get my head out of the Salesman's Butthole.
all right, get your head out of the butthole.
Get out of
Because
the
I
butthole.
want to get into this top 5
Okay,
because I'm
okay.
liking
Do you
it, but
have a
I keep
guess?
thinking about Salesman's
Do you want me to give you
buttholes.
the answers before we move on?
Is it throwing you for a Menzies week? Are you getting like? Are you going to keep thinking about this? What should we do?
Yeah.
Or just say
I'm cool
just
with
stop
doing the
thinking about it.
answers. It is going to bug me. I'll only like half pay attention to the top
So
5.
you're conceding, basically.
No, I want you to like. Yeah, I, guess.
I want
You want me to give you more of a
clue.
No, yeah, I'm
Slowly.
conceding.
I want you to guide me to the answer. So
Okay,
is it like
this one's only
is
for
it over
Natalie.
there? Say when I'm pointing to it.
Yeah.
Is it about space? Is it to my left?
That's right. Was that on Mars?
is it-
No.
Was that on Mars? I think it was.
Yeah. Is it space? Do we have it
She's
on
like,
the table?
I want to say there's colors.
Is there? Does it start with A? Oh, it's a B. Is it a C? maybe it starts with an F.
All right, so are you conceding,
know?
or do you want to move on? I can do whatever you
It's
want.
kind of up to you. You are losing, so
Yeah, I'll concede.
Okay,
Club.
Congratulations, Jeff.
But I
The
don't want you to
club
tell
of-
us the ansers.
You don't want me to just tell you the answers?
Yeah, give us.
Okay, but you were admitting Jeff wins,
Yes,
is what you're saying.
Jeff
okay.
wins.
Okay. The
Sign
Club
this
of Traveling
paper.
Vendors
Okay.
is a wildly popular game very recently that we've all been loving and playing a ton.
Oh, Guild of Merchant Explorers.
Did you ding in?
Gosh darn it. Guild of Merchant
Jeff got it. Sorry, Jeff got it.
It's over.
Yeah, but we're going to round
That's
2
true.
points. Jeff wins. He gets to apply this point to next association station. So
I get to apply it.
We're now
Yeah,
doing advantages
we
and
should've known
disadvantages.
that.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we should.
I feel kind of stupid.
Okay.
That's because we were in the brain then.
Yeah.
Number 6, menstruation week. You guys you have the tampon right up in it. You are right up in it.
7.
Yes. That number is in the game called Red 7.
Oh my
Red
god.
7. Good one. Cramp 7 last. Menzies week. Red 7. All right.
And then we're ending with the Salesman's Butthole, which is none other than Merchant's Cove.
Oh my
His
god.
butthole's a cove.
Yeah.
And he sells things out of his butthole. Would you like things out of my merchant's cove? Hello, I'm a salesman. I have a cove.
Do you need to go back into your car to bring me the rest of your wares? Actually.
Well.
I have some nice anal.
I have a surprise for
anal
you,
beads.
madam.
Here's where you're gonna buy my stuff. All right, again, we're starting with doing our top 5 games that would make a good movie/TV show. I'm going to start us off because mine are probably the least creative, and so we're going to end with Jeff, who I feel like is going to have the most creative answers because he told me so before the show. Number 5 for me is a game called Belfort. What I like about Belfort is you are like fantasy races, right? But you're just working together to build the city of Belfort. You're not really doing fantasy race things. So I think it'd be a funny TV show to have like elves, dwarves, and stuff like, and gnomes and stuff like that. And they're just like dealing with contracts, and blueprints and all that kind of stuff. So that's my number 5. Belfort. Natalie, what about you? What is your number 5?
Okay. First of all, I wanted so bad to put Jumanji on my list.
I have a
But
list
I was
at
like,
the
no.
end. I have a list at the end that I'm going to read that's in that similar.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
But my number 5 for real is Decorum. I think it would be a good reality show about couples who have different tastes and
It'd be on
making it all
HGTV.
come together in a way they both would enjoy.
Oh, that's cool.
HGTV.
I would totally watch that.
It'd be on HGTV.
It
Yeah,
would.
exactly.
It totally would.
Okay.
All right, Jeff, what's your number 5?
My number 5. In
Good
this
one, Natalie.
romantic comedy, Ryan and Natalie from separate families are working to improve and build up their village.
Okay.
Natalie specializes in brick, while Ryan obviously wood.
Obviously.
But what happens when Natalie shows some interest in Ryan's wood factories?
Oh, she wants to.
Can they live in the
boy.
same village?
Just take that wood.
Find out next summer in the hit movie Charterstone.
Beautiful.
right.
I like this.
In a world.
Yeah.
Where Ryan's wood.
Where there's kind of a movie that already exists about this next game I'm going to talk about. I think it'd be cool to have a knockoff version of the Grand Budapest called the Grand Austria Hotel.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a sequel. Maybe he moved from Budapest into Austria. And that's all I got.
I like
really.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it'd be good. Natalie, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is The Spill, a heroic movie or show about how the oil industry is polluting the oceans and destroying the lives of poor innocent animals. Volunteers spend their time saving and cleaning the animals to save their lives.
Oh, that's a movie?
It could be a show or
Whatever you
like
want.
a documentary
You decide.
kind of thing.
You decide.
Yeah.
Choose your own entertainment.
That one could go either way.
Okay, I like it.
My
Kinda
number
like me.
4. Who doesn't love a space comedy?
Me? Wait, no. I
Space
do.
comedy.
I love one.
Space comedies.
Yeah.
A struggling shipbuilding manufacturer has only given their workers 3 minutes to finish building their entire ship.
Oh, fuck, I gotta go.
And they get the fuck out and they have to start delivering. Build your ship, get the fuck out. We got to make money somehow.
Gotta make it.
See how fast all their ships get destroyed next summer in Galaxy
Galaxy Trucker.
Nice.
Trucker. Did you have that on your list?
Coming to a butthole near you. That's all right. I have one I can substitute in. All right. In this, I guess, should this be a reality TV show? I think this is a reality TV show, but this is an ultra actual reality TV show, so it'd have to be filmed somewhere like Japan.
Okay.
Where they have all the crazy shit that happens.
Yep.
You are entering a cave of wonders. Okay. You have a torch that you're carrying in there.
Like an
Covert.
Aladdin.
And every few minutes, you take another step around a corner, and you really hope that you find the fucking treasure that you came here for. But you might find some fucking snakes. And the snakes, you might sidestep the first snakes. But then at that moment, you're kind of like, okay, I just saw some snakes. That means this way there could be more snakes.
Snakes.
And if you see them again, they might fucking eat me. So I'm going to get the fuck out of here with all the money
You
I
can
already
see
took.
him once. You can
Or
see
you
him
might see
once.
some spiders.
Or you just keep going deeper into that fucking temple to get the Incan gold.
Yeah.
That would be a show
this is
I
a
would
reality
watch.
show I would
They
watch. Yes.
will die.
I like reality contests.
Yeah. This
Yes.
is but this is one they're
Into
going
that.
to die. They sign a
Yep.
waiver beforehand.
Yeah.
I might get
And you die
eaten by spiders.
You could die 5 times in each.
You could.
what,
Yeah,
once
you
in
get
each
lives.
round.
You get
Yeah.
five
It's like a whole
lives.
family show.
Yeah, exactly.
Who gets to go first? Into
Whoever has the
thing
most treasure
and
wins.
die.
It's kind of like a interestingly, it's like a Hunger Games type movie.
Yeah.
Natalie, what was your number 3?
Well, I'll follow you guys and do my little thing first and then reveal the game at the end.
You do whatever the hell you
it's your
want.
list.
It's
My number
your
3.
show.
This show has a Billions vibe where rich casino moguls are buying up land in casinos and the drama of them trying to take each other down.
This is
called Lords of Vegas.
That's a great one. Man, would I like that show.
I would also just straight up watch the documentary of Lord.
yeah, exactly.
Right? Okay. My number 3.
Number 3.
In this complete ripoff of the movie The Prestige,
Oh,
Christian
yeah.
Bale's cousin Ricky is a magician trying to make it on his own.
Ricky Bale.
Set in the 1920s, Ricky begins as a small-time musician doing handcuffs, stupid handcuff like shit tricks,
Yeah.
card
Ooh,
stuff,
shit tricks.
pick a dumb, yeah,
tricks, ew.
shits at himself.
The scat humor was really good in the
Salesman's
20s.
butthole. He just all this terrible tricks. Can he make it big this winter in Tricarion?
Oh, I thought you were going Magnificent. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a circus,
Or
I guess.
Magnificent,
You're right.
yeah.
No, that's a circus.
But Tricarion.
Beautiful. I love that one. Number 2 for me. This is a show. It's got to be a show, I think, spanning multiple seasons with multiple young child actors who are thrust into a school. I shouldn't say children and thrust in the same sentence. I
Thrusting?
apologize.
They're getting thrusted
These
at
children
school?
have been in school. And they have to beat back the zombie horde who are trying to come in and stop them from taking that math test, which at first are like, sweet.
Yeah.
But now they have to actually murder some zombies in Zombie Kids.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds like a good show.
That could be on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Kids
Or-
are really into this movie called Zombies.
Yeah, it's actually called Zombies, but that's like, there's nothing evil about that. I want these
No.
zombies and I want the kids to kill the zombies. Like Lord of the Flies, except they're
Yeah.
zombies. Mm-hmm. All right, Natalie, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is a movie about some kids who went down the wrong path and broke into a mall to coordinate an epic burglary. Will they make it out before getting caught, or will their lives be changed forever in Magic Maze?
Ooh, nice. Magic Maze, I think, is actually aren't they? Those are fantasy characters too, right? I think they're going to the mall to steal shit.
They're stealing shit from the mall.
Yeah, to go to like that's a ridiculous theme. That's a good one, Natalie. All right, Jeff. Number 2.
A filthy ass scumbag named Jeff is thrown out of society and must survive on an island far, far away.
Filthy ass scumbag.
Away from everything he's ever known.
Oh, I know what this is.
Does he stop being a fucking douchebag, or does he lean into his disgraceful personality in vindication?
Vindication. Yeah,
thought it
that's
was
a
Friday.
good one. That's a good
Friday.
one. Yeah.
But
All right, we're at number 1. Number one.
Number one.
Jeff, Ryan, Natalie, Dave if he wants. Joe needs to be there.
yep.
Natalie, Jeff, and
Go.
Ryan are the Gamecasters.
Natalie,
and
Jeff,
they
Dave,
do
and
the
Joe go on this journey. And they are on a pirate ship, and they encounter krakens, and they tell hilarious stories about themselves as they go to. We send Joe in, and we're like, Joe, go in this wrestling tournament and fight this fucking guy. And Joe's like, I'm gonna kill him. And we're like, no, just wrestle him. He just wants to wrestle you. And Joe's like, I'm gonna fucking tear his lens off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rip his arms off and cut his head off.
We're like, that's a little much.
And that's a little much. He does it anyway in a game. I'm sorry, in a TV show that everyone loves to watch called Forgotten Waters.
Can I read my? I have Forgotten Waters.
You do?
Can I read mine?
Yeah.
In this comedy, a strange group of pirates with weird names, associations, and random sentences in their pockets venture out into the great seas.
Yeah.
Mermaids, giant turtles, beating a guy to death at a pretend boxing match. Nothing is out of bounds for these silly sailors in Forgotten Waters.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
He beat him to death in the boxing match.
yeah.
That was a funny.
They're like, geez, Joe.
I was like, you're just pretend, man.
We killed. Everyone was like, "Oh no! Oh my god!"
Here's $2.
Yeah.
That was gold.
We
It was
lifted off
golden
his
booty.
body, golden booty,
Yeah.
which was also Joe's name on his Zoom call.
Yeah, Zoom
the next
call
day.
Yep.
Golden booty. Okay, Natalie, what was your number 1?
Oh man, my number 1 is a horror film about a group of people who explore a haunted mansion and encounter some spooky spirits and omens that foretell their fate. Secretly, one of the characters betray the rest of the group and must defeat the traitor if they want to make it out alive. And this is Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Oh my god, I have a similar one. Spooky suspense thriller. A random group of strangers happen upon a house in the woods and begin exploring.
Spooky, scary.
Little do they know, the rooms only appear once you open the door. And somewhere between 10 minutes and 2 hours into the movie, someone in the group will be changed by the presence of the house. In Betrayal at the House on the
Betrayal at
Hill.
House on the Hill, season 2.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, let's hear your
What do I have left
your
now?
additional silly
Okay,
list.
I have two left.
Okay.
I'll do this one.
Okay.
In this slapstick comedy, Ryan begins to wonder why the world around him is like it is. Why is everyone
this is real
so
life.
stupid and obedient? His interactions become more and more hysterical, and he wonders, is this really euphoria?
Good one.
Yeah. And then the last one I have, before I tell you some of the other ones.
Okay.
I thought, right?
Yep.
In this fantasy action movie, settlers are attempting to move in and colonize an island.
Oh, I know.
Not if we have anything to say about it.
Says the island.
The spirits are fighting back this winter in Spirit Island.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's
Very
awesome.
good.
That was a good.
Yeah, this was a fun
good,
list. This is a fun
Do you have
list.
any
Topic.
honorable mentions?
I did. What, the one?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have like.
Galaxy Trucker was my one.
Oh, I had some games, but I didn't have like
You didn't write them
little
out.
stories.
Well, that's all right. What do you
Yeah,
I
what
had like
games?
Wonderland's War,
Yeah.
Castel.
Castel. Oh man, that would be a great one to write out.
That would be like a reality show or like a documentary. Like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
docu-series.
Exactly.
I would watch that.
One
Order
day, Linda got on
Overload
my back, and I was
Cafe.
like, you know what? What if we
Oh,
did this
God.
times 100? Was that Order
Order
Overload?
Overload.
Just like that, I would watch that reality show of just like nonstop, just like having to like
Yeah.
remember everyone's
shit.
order.
Is that in the Animal Crossing world?
Yeah,
I remember that. Let's see. I also had Forgotten Waters. I had Picture Perfect, Viticulture, Great Western Trail, Jumanji. Is it?
Jumanji. All right, Jeff, what's your silly
I had
list?
this one. I had in this space adventure TV show.
Okay,
Eventually, there'll be a movie here or there.
we'll see.
And I wanted to like add some actors to this to kind of spice it up.
Okay,
so
oh,
I
that's
just
cool.
picked like someone at random. Like, so the captain of this space adventure ship.
Okay.
let's just say it's like Edward James Olmos.
Oh, all right, that's a good
And
one. I like him.
He like protects the civilization on this ship.
Okay.
And it's a board
Okay.
game called Battlestar Galactica.
Oh,
I think it would make a really great TV show, don't you?
Yeah.
That
It
I
sounds
don't know
really
if it'll work.
familiar.
Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it'll work. But
What about
I would watch.
What
it, I
about
guess.
this one where like someone goes into like a temple
Sure.
and tries to like get these like lost ruins and these things,
Okay.
and you have to like maybe avoid like giant boulders. In the TV show called The Lost Ruins of Arnak,
I can
Colon,
see
Indiana
that
Jones.
working.
Harrison Ford.
in Harrison Ford's colon.
Yeah.
That's good.
Or what about Nathan Fillion starring in another space one based on this board game called Firefly?
Oh man, a Firefly TV show would be so good.
Or what
Although
about-
I feel like it wouldn't last very long.
It wouldn't. Probably
what I
just
mean?
like one
Season at
one
most.
good season.
One good, yeah, that's at most.
and then maybe like a follow-up movie, just to
Yeah.
like kind of put a bow on.
What if they made a board game about it after that?
Or what about this one? What about an area control game where people like take kind of the roles of like different families and they want to like take over this sort of like place that people sit on called Game of Thrones?
Ooh, that
be
sounds
cool?
interesting.
That would
yeah.
be now that
Or
that
my
would be a good
last
show.
one, what about just like there's a game called Sherlock Holmes? What if
I've
that
heard
was
of that.
like a TV show or like a movie?
Oh,
that would be
That might make a good
cool.
book.
That would make a
too.
good. No, come on, a book. A book. What? That's ridiculous.
does that?
Who would read that? Shit?
Man, oh man.
So that is our top 5. That was a good top 5. I'm glad we did that
that
one.
was fun, yeah.
I was kind of surprised we had never done that one before.
Yeah.
I'm
like
also
searched it.
surprised we like didn't have a lot of crossover. That was pretty
Forgotten
cool.
Waters, I think, was the only one that was on all 3 of our lists.
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to do it for us tonight, everybody. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can find us on Instagram at Gamecasters or at Mad Board Gamer. Both of those accounts service the podcast. We also have a Facebook group. Just search Gamecasters and you'll find us there. You can also email us at thegamecasterspodcast@gmail.com. If you like the show, we'd love it if you consider giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen that allows you to rate us. We've also got a Patreon. If you want to support the show, feel free to head on over to patreon.com/thegamecasters. There's also a merch store where you can find all sorts of different Gamecasters, Mad Board Gamer, Gateway gear. So head on over to thegatewaynetwork.com/store. Please follow me and consider subscribing on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gamecasters. So for Natalie and Jeff the Mad Board Gamer, I'm Ryan, and you have been listening to The Gamecasters. Good night, everybody.